What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Tenten became obsessed with Naruto's strength? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Tenten felt a shiver that went all the way up and then down her spine. She knew something was wrong, something was very wrong. She could just feel it. She had stopped her throwing shurikens and kunai at her two teammates. Tenten, is something wrong? Guy asked. No, it's nothing Guy-sensei, Tenten said, though in the back of her mind she knew something wasn't right and that worried her greatly. She went back to her throwing, but her mind wasn't on the task at hand. A few days later, Tenten stood by the gate awaiting for someone to return. She knew she had to be there for some reason. It came from deep in her gut telling her this. Thankfully her team had a day off so she could be here. Soon she saw a group heading towards the gates. She knew who one of them was just by their spiky yellow hair. But she could also sense there was something was amiss too. Oh no, she mumbled, now knowing why she had to be here. Team 7 were heading back after what was supposed to be a simple C-rank mission, but turned into something more. Missing nins and a midget tycoon ruling over a town was what they got. In the end they liberated the town and all seemed well. But that was just on the outside. Former Anbu captain and now Chunin Kakashi Hitaki was worried, very worried about one of his students. After the battle on the bridge the student had been silent. This wasn't normal for the usually brash and loud blonde. Something had happened, but he didn't know what, and whenever he tried to talk to the blonde about it he was nowhere to be found. The blonde's two teammates noticed the change too and it made them feel quite uneasy. This wasn't normal behavior from the blonde. He was so quiet. His eyes were always looking, watching, observing, but not in a normal way. There was devious, scary edge to it all. Like one false move and the blonde might snap. The blonde in question was walking with his hands in his pockets and head down. They got to the gates and the blonde looked up. His eyes locked on Tenton. Pandaheim. Tenton was jolted, but knew who he was. Only one person would call her that. Kitsune? She asked. Naruto nodded happily as he embraced Tenton tightly. Tenton hugged Naruto back. This left Team 7 very confused. Though Kakashi did wince hearing Naruto's odd name. Sasuke and Sakura were confused as to why this girl was calling Naruto a different name. They also wondered who this girl was and how did she know Naruto. I am so happy to see you, Pandaheim. It's been so long, Naruto, Kitsune said in a giddy fashion. Yeah, it has, Kitsune. I am happy to see you, Tenton said, smiling, and she was being honest. Naruto, Kitsune then turned to the two Chunin that were the ever-present guards of the gate and grinned at them in the most scariest and devious manner. I'm Bak, he said in a very scary manner. KKKKK Kitsune. Hey, welcome back, Katetsu said nervously. Why yeah, welcome back, Izumo said, being just as nervous as his Chunin partner. Both Chunin gate guards were scared out of their wits. Their minds flashed back to all the torment that Kitsune caused them. They were all too horrid to even say out loud really. But they still had nightmares of the events every now and again. Even had some scars both mentally and physically on themselves. Seeing Kitsune again brought it all to the front of their minds and they were scared witless. Team 7 was confused why these two Chunin seemed to be afraid of Naruto, and again why are they calling Naruto by another name altogether. So how was your mission, Kitsune? Tenton asked. Not very exciting. Boring really, Naruto, Kitsune said in a disappointed tone. This riled up two members of Team 7. What's the matter, loser? Afraid to admit how badly you did? Sasuke asked. Yeah, are you afraid to say that Sasuke was the best? Sakura screeched. Naruto turned to the two and unleashed a force like no other. It felt like ki, but it had such weight to it that it couldn't possibly be ki. Sasuke and Sakura actually felt like they were pushed down by a massive amount of pressure. Like gravity had gotten a lot stronger right where they're standing. They were on their hands and knees doing their best to even breath due to the immense pressure on them. Kakashi felt it too and knew this wasn't any ki he had ever felt. He fared a bit better, though he had to force himself to stay upright and not get on his knees like his two students. It was very hard since the Chunin never felt anything like it before. His knees were trembling trying to stay up. Kitsune, that's enough. You don't do that kind of thing to your team, Tenton chided. The great weight Team 7 felt was lifted and they were all able to breathe again. Sasuke and Sakura got up shakily and Kakashi was exhausted from trying withstand whatever it was he was against. Ah, Pandaheim, you just had to ruin my fun, Naruto, Kitsune pouted. Tenton just sighed. Unnoticed to them was Kotetsu rushed off to alert the Hokage of what was going on. Izumo just hoped Kotetsu would get back in time before Kitsune gets bored or something. Ah, Kitsune, welcome back, Sandame Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi said. Hey old man, Naruto said, not even looking at the Hiruzen as his attention was still on Tenton. Naruto, it's rude to ignore the Hokage, Kakashi reprimanded. It's alright Kakashi. I am quite used to it, Hiruzen said waving off Kakashi. Come on Pandaheim, I have so much I want to tell you, Naruto, Kitsune said gleefully. What about your team Kitsune? Tenton asked. What about them? Naruto, Kitsune asked like they didn't matter. This again riled up two members of Team 7, but before they could shout they were pinned to the ground with several shadow clones standing over them. And by pinned they were pinned to the ground by multiple kunais stuck through their clothes and into the ground. They were shocked and surprised. It all happened so fast that not even Kakashi caught what Naruto did. Let me up loser, Sasuke ordered. Yeah, you idiot, let us go. Sakura screamed. Hiruzen sighed. He knew that he couldn't be able to stop this. Now we've got work to do, one clone said. Yes, an operation to perform, a second clone said. Procedures that are extremely delicate of nature, a third clone said. All of the clones wore foxy grins on their faces as they looked down on Sasuke and Sakura. This made the two very uneasy. What kind of procedure? Sakura asked. Why operation? Howler monkey removal, a fourth clone said. And operation. Emo stick removal, a fifth clone said. Several other clones pulled out items for the operations. These items included pliers, long-bladed handsaws that looked dulled, pruning shears. A couple wicked-looking knives with jagged and serrated blades, a lock cutter, a toilet scrubber, a rubber ducky, a couple of ping-pongs and ping-pong paddles, etc. A couple of other clones were doing other things. One was washing their hands in a big porcelain white basin, while other were pulling out medical equipment. They were all quite busy. What are you going to do with those? Sakura asked scared as she stared at all the things that have been laid out. We must use all methods available, the third clone said. And what about that one? Sakura asked. The clone she was talking to just had put on long green latex gloves on. I'm here to give you enemas, the clone said. Enemas? Why the hell would we need those? Sasuke asked even though he had no idea what an enema was at all. But it didn't sound good at all. To give you a sense of accomplishment, the clone said with a cheerful grin before slipping on a surgeon's mask. The other clones did the same, putting on their surgeon's masks as they were all dressed in the same green medical scrubs along with those plastic booties on their feet. Kitsune, enough, Tenton said sternly. Ah, Pandaheim, just a little bit more. We promise we won't physically harm them in any way, the clone that was holding a pruning shears whined. Yeah, we're just going to mentally scar them for a couple hours. Nothing permanent, another clone said. At least we think it'll be nothing permanent, yet another clone said. No Kitsune, they're your teammates. You don't hurt your team, Tenton said sternly. Fine, all the clones said, then disappeared along with all their operating tools. This just left the real Kitsune standing there pouting about his fun being taken away. Sasuke and Sakura were free from being pinned by kunai. They were shaky and freaked out. They moved as far away as possible from Naruto, Kitsune not wanting to get involved with whatever happened next. You never let me have any great fun, Pandaheim, Naruto pouted as he folded his arms. Oh Kitsune, that's not true and you know it, Tenton said as he wrapped her arms around Naruto, Kitsune's neck. Yeah, guess you're right, Naruto, Kitsune said wrapping his arms around Tenten's waist. Lord Hokage? Kakashi asked. Oh yes. I suppose you'll need an explanation to this. You and your team come in tomorrow and you'll get it, Hiruzen said like he was totally unaware at what had just transpired. Kakashi just nodded and he dismissed his team. Come on Pandaheim, I haven't been around for a while. Let's have some fun, Naruto, Kitsune said with a wide grin. Everyone in the village of Konoha felt violent shivers down their backs. Hiruzen sighed as he sat back in his chair. Before him was a huge pile of paperwork. All of it was from the damage Naruto had caused. So far since Naruto, or should he say Kitsune, had returned, the entire village has been in a constant state of fear. Produce in the grocery stores and markets snapping and attacking patrons, random exploding tags going off sending shinobi and civilian alike dancing about in attempts to avoid the low-grade explosives. All of the Hyuga's underwear was tie-dyed shocking pink that glowed so bright you could see it through their pants no matter how dark their pants were nor how many layers they wore. Not to mention that on the rear of all the Hyuga underwear in big letters it said, "All deposits in the rear," their hair an electric yellow and spiked up like Don King's. The Inuzukas were all wearing dog collars that read, "Bend me over, I'm a doggy," and many other disturbances. But with all of this going on, the one thing on Hiruzen's mind was what had happened on that mission to change Naruto that made him shift to Kitsune. The next day and everyone was still cleaning up after Naruto Kitsune's initial rampage. In the Hokage's office, Team 7 minus Naruto was there. "Good, you're here," Hiruzen said. Shouldn't we wait for Naruto?" Sakura asked. "No, though this involves him. He isn't needed to explain things," Hiruzen said. "Now Kakashi, tell me what happened." So Kakashi gave his report and Hiruzen sat back. When it came to the fight on the bridge, everything connected. "So Naruto was put in a situation of extreme stress," Hiruzen said. Yes sir. But does that have something to do with what we saw yesterday?" Kakashi asked. "Yes, sadly it does, I am afraid," Hiruzen said with a frown. "You see, when Naruto was just a child he was caught and severely beaten by a mob. This somehow damaged his psyche so bad that his mind split into two. One side is the Naruto we all know and the other is his altered personality Kitsune. Now don't ask me why he decided to call himself that. I've tried asking and he never gives me an answer. Well, an answer that makes sense. Anyway, the Yamanaka did their best to block off the Kitsune part, but when Naruto is in extremely stressful situations Kitsune can appear. Now Kitsune loves playing pranks, as you've probably already heard by now. This goes with a fox's playful nature. But Kitsune can be very dangerous since he doesn't seem to have any control till he met Tenten. She's the only one who can stand and handle Kitsune really," Hiruzen said. "Sir, why wasn't I told of this?" Kakashi asked. "I didn't think of it at the time. Besides, this is a secret and not something to put in an academy student's file where anyone could read," Hiruzen said. "So is he stuck like that?" Sakura asked. "I don't know, I honestly don't," Hiruzen said with a heavy sigh. Old man." Everyone turned to the window to see Naruto Kitsune standing there on the windowsill. But he wasn't wearing his typical orange jumpsuit. What he was wearing was black bodysuit with blood-red stripes that ran along his rib cage like tiger stripes. The bodysuit had a hood that Naruto was wearing at the moment. He was wearing fingerless gloves with metal spikes on the knuckles and black combat boots that were steel-toed. On his back was a rucksack. He was also wearing a dusty brown cloak over the bodysuit that had many pockets. "Hello Kitsune, new look?" Hiruzen asked. "Yeah, had to ditch whatever the hell I was wearing. It just didn't suit me," Naruto Kitsune said, then hopped inside. "Don't think you'll get a date with me because you tried to dress cool. Sasuke is still cooler than you," Sakura said. "Why the hell would I want to go out with such a screeching loud flat-chest pink thing like you when I have Panda, my one true love?" Naruto Kitsune asked. Sakura shrieked as she charged in to punch Naruto. But she forgot this wasn't the same Naruto she had always dealt with. As she got close, Naruto Kitsune sidestepped the wild punch and grabbed her wrist. He yanked it back sharply, causing her to gasp loudly in pain. Then he pinned her arm behind her back and slammed her to the ground hard. He kept her arm pinned with his knee as he pulled her head up by her hair. This all happened in a matter of seconds that surprised Kakashi and Sasuke since they never saw Naruto move so fast ever. Hiruzen had though. "Kitsune, release Sakura," Hiruzen said calmly. "In a minute, old man. Pinky the androgynous here needs a haircut," Kitsune said. He then pulled out a kunai and began cut all of Sakura's hair off till it was in a messy short crop cut. Sakura cried out as she tried to get out of Naruto's pin, but since she never trained a day in her life he couldn't. When he was done there was locks of pink hair everywhere. "There, now you look better, Butch," Kitsune said. "I'll kill you," Sakura screamed as she pulled out a kunai. Before Hiruzen could stop her she stabbed Kitsune, but Kitsune then turned into a big blob of blood that then turned to a big puddle on the floor. Sakura gasped and jumped back from the now pool of blood on the floor. She just stared at it with shock and horror. She had also dropped the kunai too. What was that? Kakashi asked surprised. A blood clone, Hiruzen said. Blood clone? What's a blood clone? Sasuke asked. It's a clone that is made up of the user's own blood, Tenten said. This had everyone turn to Tenten. She had entered the office without being noticed. Sorry for interrupting, but I knew Kitsune would be here and came to keep an eye on him, Tenten said. A wise move, I should have thought of it, Hiruzen said. Why'd I like to spoil my fun Pandaheim? Kitsune said as he popped up from behind the couch. Someone has to Kitsune. What, you don't like spending time with me? Tenten asked as she protruded her bottom lip and let it quiver a bit. No, I love spending time with you my Pandaheim, Naruto said as he rushed into a tight embrace with Tenten. Tenten smiled as she hugged Kitsune back. Again, this was so weird for Team 7. As of right now I am putting your team on hold Kakashi. There's no telling how long Kitsune will be around and I can't risk the village from any more harm than what Kitsune can do, Hiruzen said. Alright, vacation? Kitsune shouted. Tenten, you'll have to be with Kitsune to keep him under control. So you're relieved of your duties on Team 9. I'll let your sensei know, Hiruzen said. Tenten nodded. She knew this was more important than her team. She knew without her presence Kitsune could get out of control. She had a bit of a calming affect on Kitsune and was the only one that could make him behave, somewhat. She sometimes gets tugged into whatever mayhem Kitsune was into. What she couldn't help it, he just knew how to pluck at her heartstrings. Good, you're all dismissed, Hiruzen said. Come on Pandaheim, let's go, Kitsune said as he wrapped an arm around Tenten's waist and they went out the window. The next few days Tenten spent with Kitsune. It was a lot of fun since she hadn't been with Kitsune for a while. At the moment Kitsune and Tenten were eating at Ichiraku. It was the only place that wasn't fazed by the appearance of Kitsune. Ayame and Tucci just greeted Kitsune like a customer returning. My ramen princess, I've returned, Kitsune greeted in a charming debonair way as he kissed Ayame's hand. Ayame giggled. Always the charmer, huh Kitsune? She said with a smile and a nice pink hue on her cheeks. But of course, but I always keep my true attentions to my Pandaheim, Kitsune said. Tenten smiled and ordered her ramen and Kitsune did the same. Tenten, what brought Kitsune back? Ayame asked. It happened on Naruto's last mission. It was supposed to be a usual C rank, escort a bridge builder home, but it turned into an A rank really. I don't know a lot of the details since Kitsune doesn't feel like sharing them. But whatever happened Naruto isn't here anymore and I don't know if it's permanent, Tenten said. I see, Ayame said with a slight frown. Even though she really liked Kitsune she always missed when Naruto was gone since she enjoyed the sunny blonde a lot. Tenten and Kitsune ate their ramen and then paid for it. They left only for Tenten to run into her team. Yosh, Tenten my most youthful student. I've heard some most alarming news, Guy said. Hi Guy sensei. Tenten greeted with a sigh. Naruto wasn't paying much attention as he stared Tenten's two teammates. He looked the two up and down like he was analyzing them in some way. Pandaheim, who's the emo princess? Kitsune asked. Kitsune, that's Neji Hyuga. He's a guy, Tenten said. What the, that can't be a guy. It's got long hair. Do looks like a woman, Kitsune said pointing at the Hyuga. Neji Hyuga glared at Kitsune. Hey, I know, Kitsune said with a grin. He then began to perform hand signs. Entrance music jutsu. He called. Nothing happened. What was that supposed to be? Neji asked. Oh, it's a jutsu I made. You see, whenever you enter anywhere music will play, Kitsune said. There was confusion in this. Observe, Kitsune said. He dropped his rucksack that he always carried around and then opened it up and began to rummage through it. Ah, he then pulled out a door frame. He set it up. Go on, walk on through, he said. Neji looked dubious about this and wasn't going to when he was shoved through the doorframe by a clone Kitsune had made without hand seals. Soon music began to play. Dude looks like a lady by Aerosmith. What in the world? Guy asked. See, awesome isn't, Kitsune said extremely proud of himself. Neji just glared at Kitsune. Guy sensei, is this youthful or not? A boy, who looked disturbing similar to Guy, asked. I'm not sure Lee, Guy said with a frown. Pandaheim, what are they talking about? Kitsune asked confused. You don't want to know Kitsune, Tenten said. Huh, why? Kitsune asked squinty-eyed. Trust me, you don't want to know, Tenten said. Kitsune just shrugged then his eye caught something else and grinned. Tenton saw this and sighed as she knew this could be more trouble, but followed since she also felt the fun thrill of what was possibly to come. It was just another day in Konoha. That's when loud screams pierced the air. Okay, maybe it wasn't going to be a normal day after all. Ever since Kitsune had re-emerged, the whole village was on edge. Everyone was on guard, shinobi and civilian alike, not knowing if they'd be the next target of Kitsune's pranks. It was nerve-wracking not knowing what could be around the corner. There had been pit traps right in the middle of the street to falling anvils, all Looney Tunes, landing on several unsuspecting persons. Then there were the numerous Acme products being used. A constant state of fear had swept throughout the village. Though it did keep all shinobi on high alert, so it did have an unseen perk. Now back to the screaming. Well, those screams came from the Akamichi compound. The entire big-boned family had just finished eating when they all got mighty powerful diarrhea. It was so bad, it was painful, and the stench carried all the way over to the Inuzuka compound. The Akamichi compound would need to be fumigated for weeks before it could be lived in again. Ah, music to my ears, don't you just love to start the day with a massive prank, Pandaheim? Kitsune asked as he gazed upon the village with a wide grin. Tenton shook her head. She couldn't believe that she went along with this one. She helped Kitsune gather all the very special laxatives that were needed in this prank. Come on, Pandaheim, I think the emo duck needs a good wedgie, maybe that will loosen the rod up his butt, Kitsune said, then hopped off his perch. Tenton followed. Sasuke was in the middle of training. It didn't bother him that his team was on reserve. They just slowed him down anyway. He had a mission he needed to complete, a goal, an ambition. Nothing was going to deter him at all. He was an Avenger, he would go off alone to complete his task. All he needed was a badass cape that could whip around him whenever he moved. Yeah, that would be so sweet. Hey emo duck. Sasuke turned and saw Kitsune and Tenton standing there. How'd they get in though, was the question racing through his mind. What are you doing here, loser? He grunted. Wedgie, Kitsune shouted. Sasuke felt his undershorts get yanked up and then he felt the waistband get pulled over his head. Kitsune, did you just give the last Uchiha an atomic wedgie? Tenton asked. Yeah, I was going to do a normal one, but thought why stop there, Kitsune said with a wide grin. The two watched as Sasuke struggled to remove the waistband of his underwear from his head, but it was so tight. His head was craned back almost painfully. His arms were flailing around and he could, while his groin was being totally squished. No wonder he's always in a grumpy mood, he wears tight panties, Kitsune said. Tenton just watched in amusement, then pulled out a camera. This was too good to not capture. Maybe she can make flyers and send them around. Team 8 were in the middle of training. Their sensei Kurenai Yuhi was watching over them all and was pleased with their progress. She was thinking about nominating her team for the upcoming Chunin exams. She knew they'd be held within the village this year and that meant her team would have the home field advantage. Yay, fresh meat. This had Team 8 turn and they saw Kitsune staring at them with a very scary grin. All of them felt a sense of dread, though they weren't sure why they were feeling it. Is that Naruto? Kiba asked. It appears so, but there's something different about him. My bugs are telling me to be wary of him, Shino said. Hinata just stared with pink cheeks and poking her 2 index fingers together. Kurenai just frowned. Tenton just shook her head as she was standing by Kitsune's side. Hey loser, what's with the get-up? Kiba asked as he looked at Kitsune's black bodysuit. Why do you smell like dog pee? Kitsune asked. What did you say? Kiba shouted. Actually, I am curious about that too, Shino said. Kiba just stared at Shino with an indescribable look. Akamaru whimpered. So it's true, mongrels actually do roll in their own filth, Kitsune said in an observant tone. That's it, you're dead, loser. Kiba screamed. The young Inuzuka charged Kitsune before Kurenai could say a thing. But the crafty fox evaded Kiba and slapped a seal on the back of his neck. Hey, what was that? Kiba asked. Oh, just a special seal, Kitsune said. What kind of special seal, Kitsune? Tenton asked curiously. One that if PP here thinks perverted thoughts he gets hurt, Kitsune said. What do you mean URK? Kiba cried as he fell to the ground clutching his groin. What did you do to my student? Kurenai asked. Just having some fun, Kitsune said, then he walked over to the 2 remaining members of Team 8. He looked them over. Shino stayed still while Hinata tried to hide herself by trying to bury her head deeper into her oversized coat. You're alright, Buggy, in fact I give you a gift, Kitsune said. He then dropped his rucksack and rummaged through it. Ah, here it is. He then pulled out a box. What is this? Shino asked. Condoms, Kitsune said brightly. Kitsune, where did you? Never mind, I don't want to know where you got those, Tenten said, shaking her head. Shino just stared at the box, but then it was shoved into his hands. Enjoy, and remember, safe is safer for everyone, Kitsune said like he was on a PSA. Kurenai just stared at Kitsune, unable to say a thing. Just who the hell was this kid? Kitsune then went to Hinata and looked her over. I think you'd look hotter if you took off that jacket and showed off that amazing rack you have, Kitsune said, flashing her a grin. Hinata's blush went epic and she was just seconds away from passing out. That is quite rude, Kurenai said sternly. What, I am speaking the truth, Kitsune said. Kurenai sighed as she rubbed her temples. Where's your team? She asked. Oh, them, Kitsune said in a bored tone as he was trying to get Hinata out of her coat. Yes, them, Kurenai said through gritted teeth. Our teams have been put on reserve, Tenton said. Why? Kurenai asked. Tenton hesitated since she wasn't sure what to say. Kitsune though however was still trying to get Hinata out of jacket. It was amazing that Hinata had yet to faint, though she was putting up a fierce resistance. In her mind though there was a war raging since one part of her wanted to let Naruto take her coat off and the other didn't want Naruto to see her without her coat. Kitsune, Tenton shouted. What? Kitsune asked as he kept trying to pry Hinata's jacket off. Stop that, Tenton said. Fine, later, Kitsune said, winking at Hinata, who promptly fainted dead away. Well, it's been fun, gotta go. Pandaheim, tally ho, Kitsune exclaimed. He then leapt away with Tenton shaking her head and following after him. Hiruzen sighed as he rubbed his forehead. Standing in front of him was Kurenai Yuhi. She came in angry because of Kitsune's actions with her team. I want him punished, Lord Hokage, Kurenai said. I would if I could, Kurenai, Hiruzen said. Why can't you, sir? Kurenai asked. Chunin Yuhi, what I am going to tell you can't go any further than this room. You can't speak a word to it to anyone, Hiruzen said seriously. Kurenai just nodded. Hiruzen gave Kurenai a short version of Kitsune and she was shocked by it all. So you're saying the village did it? They created him? She asked. Yes, Hiruzen said, but there has to be a way to get him back to normal, Kurenai said. There isn't. Inoichi and Ibiki have tried, but there was nothing. The best course of action was to let it run its course and hope Naruto will return, Hiruzen said. He remembered back the attempts Inoichi and Ibiki tried and they ended up needing therapy since Kitsune brought on terror that not even the Kyuubi could ever reach. He himself shivered at the thought of what Kitsune had done to two of the best men in the village that can deal with the mind. But we don't know when that will be, Kurenai said. No, we don't, Hiruzen said tiredly. So the only thing that keeps this Kitsune restrained is this Tenten girl? Kurenai asked. Yes, without her I fear that they'd be no barrier to protect us from Kitsune. Sure, he plays pranks on anyone he thinks needs them. But I believe without her then Kitsune's pranks might turn malicious to even deadly, really, Hiruzen said. Kurenai shivered as she remembered hearing some of the big pranks that Kitsune had done and knew if it was an enemy then there'd be deaths instead of harmless pranks. The next day Team 10 was training as Kitsune and Tenton came by. Ooh, more playthings, Kitsune exclaimed. Tenton just sighed and followed Kitsune. Team 10 looked at the duo. What's that loser going on about? Ino asked with a snort. Shikamaru though was more wary. Something was different with Naruto. Like this person wasn't Naruto at all. So the Nara would be keeping his guard up just in case. As for Choji, he was confused to what was going on. Naruto was very different today. Asuma sighed. He had heard about Kitsune from stories and the recent happenings. He never thought he'd see him. He was worried what he'd do to him and his team. Kitsune walked over to Team 10 and looked them over, nodding his head. He then went Choji first and fished out of his rucksack a book and handed it to the big boned boy. What's this? Choji asked. Kama Sutra, the Ultimate Edition. Guaranteed to give not only you, but your partner the greatest pleasure, Kitsune said. Tenton sighed. She wasn't even going to ask where Kitsune got the book. You pervert, Ino shouted. Wow, that's a nice pair of lungs you go there, Kitsune said as he cleaned out his ears with his pinky. He then went over to Shikamaru. You have an inkling to what's going on here, so I am going to give you some advice. Shikamaru was curious to this advice and leaned in. What he was met with was a big pie on the face. "Eat a lot of pie," Kitsune shouted. Shikamaru wiped the remnants of pie off his face. "Troublesome," he muttered. Kitsune then went to Ino and she stepped back cautiously. "Come on, I promise it will only hurt once and I'll be real gentle," he said with a wide smile on his face. Why, you're sick," Ino stuttered. Kitsune paused and got into his thinking pose. He then pulled out something from his rucksack. It was a podium. He then pulled out a tweed jacket and a pair of glasses. He put them on and stood up on the podium. "I suppose we're all sick in certain ways. Why the world is full of sick people. Some physically sick and others mentally or emotionally sick. But we shouldn't judge them by it. We should embrace them and encourage them to try and face their sickness, overcome it so they can live somewhat normal lives. They are people after all, no matter how sick they are. There's a horrible stigma on people who are considered sick, and I say this stigma must be halted. We must embrace all those who are sick around us, since aren't they still humans deep down inside," Kitsune said. Tenten sighed as she shook her head. "Kitsune, please get off your soapbox," she said. "Fine Pandaheim," Kitsune said as he hopped off the soapbox that he was standing on behind the podium. "What the hell is wrong with you, loser?" Ino asked. "A lot is wrong with me, Screamer. But I am at one with my problems, are you?" Kitsune asked in a very zen-like way. Ino didn't even know what to say to that. As for Asuma, he was nervous. Then he saw Kitsune walk up to him. He rummaged through his rucksack and pulled out something and handed it to him. Asuma was nervous to take it. "Take it, smokestack, it's the finest tobacco I could find and roll," Kitsune said. Asuma took it and opened the pack and found it was cigarettes. He pulled one out and sniffed it and it smelled fine. So he lit it up and he began to see and smell things that weren't even there. He was tripping out. "Asuma-sensei," Ino shouted. "Kitsune, what did you do?" Tenten asked. "Just gave them a bit more buzz, adding a lot of psychedelic mushrooms and stuff," Kitsune said like it was no big deal. Tenten just shook her head. "Well, let's be off, more people to visit," Kitsune said. He and Tenten left as Team 10 tried to get through to their drug-addled sensei. Well, Ino and Shikamaru were trying to help Asuma. Choji was looking through the book he got with bright red cheeks. "Damn, I need to know where Kitsune got this shit. It's so far out," Asuma thought. A loud explosion was heard and it came from the guard station at the gate. Azumo and Kotetsu came out of the now blown up and smoking guard station coughing. "Damn it, Azumo, I told you not to open that box," Kotetsu said. "But it said it wasn't a bomb," Azumo said. "And you believe that?" Kotetsu said incredulously. "Well, yeah, it said on the tag specifically that it wasn't a bomb," Azumo said. Kotetsu so wanted to beat his friend up for being so stupid, but he began to get itchy. "Damn it, itching powder," he cursed. He and Azumo began to scratch everywhere, but couldn't get any relief. They got so involved in their predicament that they didn't notice a crowd gathering. "Shit, we got to strip to scratch," Azumo said. "That's the smartest thing you've said all day," Kotetsu said. So they stripped themselves of their clothes as they kept scratching. There were loud gasps and this made the two Chunin stop in their tracks. "Shit," they both uttered. On a rooftop above the action, Kitsune sat laughing his ass off. Tenten was with him. "That wasn't any normal itching powder," Tenten commented. "Very deductive, my lovely Pandaheim," Kitsune said as he smoked a pipe and was wearing a deerstalker. Tenten rolled her eyes. "What kind of itching powder was it, Kitsune?" she asked. "My own little invention," Kitsune said with a foxy grin. "Are you going to tell me?" Tenten asked. "Of course, Pandaheim, I could never keep secrets from you," Kitsune said. Tenten waited. "That itching powder is mixed with certain other things that makes it stick to the skin better and makes it harder to wash off. In fact, if water comes into contact with it, then it gets worse, not better," Kitsune said. "And how do you get rid of it?" Tenten asked. "Bath in pure olive oil. That stuff is the only way to remove my special itching powder," Kitsune said. Tenten shook her head. She was always amazed how creative and innovative Kitsune could be when he felt like it, which was most of the time. There was loud commotion going on in the council chambers. The civilian side was shouting loudly about all the pranks they'd be under siege with and how they were losing business because of it. The shinobi side was annoyed by all the shouting. Hiruzen finally quieted everyone down. "You have got to do something to stop that hell beast," a civilian shouted. "And what do you suppose I do?" Hiruzen asked. "Kill him," many shouted. The shinobi side disagreed to this. Yes, Kitsune was a big nuisance, but he was also helping them by revealing all the security holes they had not only around the village, but their own compounds too. It humbled them some, but yeah, they still didn't like getting pranked. I will not do that against one of my own shinobi, Hiruzen said firmly. But he must be stopped. I am losing so much money to that demon, another civilian said angrily. Hiruzen snapped his fingers and Anbu took the council member away. This shocked the council. He broke my law, Hiruzen said plainly. The sound of clapping was heard and everyone turned to see Kitsune there standing on the ceiling. Good show, old boy, a jolly good show, Kitsune said in a posh British accent. What are you doing here? A pink-haired shrieker shouted. Wow, 2 howlers. I didn't know it had spread, Kitsune said as he cleaned his ear out with his pinky. Kitsune, what are you doing here? Hiruzen asked with a sigh. I was bored, Kitsune said. This made everyone go on alert. If Kitsune was bored, then that meant they might be his next target. So which one of you wants to be my next victim? Kitsune asked with a wide grin. This made everyone in the room sweat. They began pointing fingers at each other in hopes drawing attention away from themselves. Kitsune watched all of this amused. He wasn't actually bored, but was playing a mind game with them all. That was just as fun as actually pranking them. Oh, so many choices. So hard to decide. I mean, what hadn't I done to you all? Kitsune said as he tapped his chin as he eyed the civilian council with devious eyes. The shinobi side did their best to contain their laughter. Watching Kitsune mess with the civilian side was very amusing. Finally Sume Inuzuka broke as she roared with laughter, thumping her fist on the table. I am so glad I amuse you, my dog goddess, Kitsune said. Sume stopped and turned to find that Kitsune was now by her side. How'd you get here so fast? She asked. The rest of the shinobi council noticed this and that was the same question on their mind too. I walked, Kitsune answered. This made them all look at Kitsune with an incredulous expression. But my dog goddess, I wish to ask for your permission to pursue your dog maiden, Kitsune said. Sume asked. He means he wants to pursue your daughter Hana, Shikaku said. The rest wondered how Shikaku understood Kitsune. Ah, I see you have been reading my Kitsune dictionary, Sir Lazy Butt, Kitsune said as he bowed to the head of the Nara clan. I have, though it was quite troublesome, Shikaku said tiredly. Use it well, my son, for many answers will be found in that book, Kitsune said in a solemn priest tone. He was also dressed as a priest to match his voice. Kitsune, we're in the middle of a meeting, is there something you needed? Hiruzen asked. Yeah, the Chunin exams are coming up. I want in, Kitsune said. You want to participate in the Chunin exams? Hiruzen asked in total surprise. Sure, could be fun. Besides, I need new targets. These are all getting stale, Kitsune said as he gestured to the civilian side of the council. Kitsune's request was granted faster than you could say yes, really. The civilian council shouted their approval in hopes for Kitsune to leave the chambers and them alone. Great, I can't wait. And for those who voiced their consent, I'll be leaving prizes at your homes. Bye, Kitsune said. The chamber emptied faster than ever before as the civilian council ran to their homes in hopes to stop whatever Kitsune's prize was for activating. This left the chamber pretty much empty. Well, old man, you can go back to work, Kitsune said. Hana blinked as she stared at her mother. Mom, are you insane? She asked. No, I'm complete sane, honey, Sume said. But why did you agree to such a thing? Hana asked. Honey, you're not getting any younger. Kitsune seems interested in you. So why not, Sume said. But he's always with that Tenten girl. What chance do I have? Hana asked, then paused at what she said. What the hell did I say? I don't want to be courted by him, she thought. Ah, why not my dog maiden? You're as lovely as a golden retriever and as fierce as an Alaskan husky, Kitsune said. Hana jumped hearing Kitsune's voice, then looked to see him standing right by her. How did you get here and how long have you been there? She asked. I walked to get here and I've been here for a while, my dog maiden, Kitsune said. Why are you calling me that? Hana asked. What, dog maiden? Kitsune asked. Hana nodded. Why not, Kitsune said. Hana groaned as she rubbed her temples. Sume grinned at this. This ought to be fun, she thought. Kitsune had a grin on his face as he stood waiting for his team. Sasuke and Sakura appeared, both keeping their distance from Kitsune. Sakura's hair was growing back, though she had to have it properly cut after Kitsune hacked her hair off so it could grow back correctly. Sasuke looked like he still had his undies up over his head. Looks like Pervy the One Eye is going to be late. I'd better get him, Kitsune said. The dashed off. In no time at all Kakashi was being dragged by Kitsune by the back of his collar. What did you do to Kakashi-sensei? Sakura shrieked. I got him here, Kitsune answered. She means how'd you do it, loser, Sasuke grunted. Oh easy. I just snuck up behind him and kicked him in the balls. He dropped like a rock, Kitsune said. Sasuke and Sakura just blinked. Both totally shocked. I'll never live this down. Snuck up on by a genin and taken down, Kakashi mumbled. Yeah, now that we're all here it's time for me to announce we're going to be in the Chunin exams. So best get ready to have your asses handed to you all, Kitsune said in a super excited manner. What are the Chunin exams? Sakura asked confused. So that big forehead is just for show. It actually has no real function at all, Kitsune said. Sakura screeched as she went to lash out at Kitsune, forgetting who she was dealing with. Her fist never connected. Instead she spun around like a top due to throwing all of her weight into the punch. You know you might be able to get more weight in your punches if you had anything on your chest, Kitsune commented. Shut up. Besides Sasuke likes girls with my kind of figure, Sakura said with red blotchy cheeks. Okay, so what you're saying is Emo Duck likes boys, Kitsune said. Sasuke doesn't like boys, Sakura shouted. But you just said he likes girls with your kind of figure and your figure is quite boy-like. So Sasuke likes boys, Kitsune said. Kakashi actually thought Kitsune's argument had merit. Now I am saying nothing is wrong with that. I mean everyone should have the right to love whoever they want to love no matter the body shape or their preference. Everyone deserves love. From the smallest babe to the biggest person, love should always be given to those no matter what. It is love that keeps the world at peace and harmony. The mighty philosophers Paul, Ringo, John and George said, all you need is love, Kitsune said as he was once again up on his soapbox podium. Kakashi blinked and wondered when Kitsune pulled that out. He never saw it coming. He then shrugged and went to read his Icha. But as his eyes began to move across the page he fell back screaming. He threw the book away from himself. My eyes. Oh, I was wondering when you'd get my gift, Kitsune said now off his soapbox podium that had disappeared from sight. What was it? Sasuke asked as he picked up the now discarded book. Oh, just a graphic history of homuality in color and in amazing 3D, Kitsune said. Sasuke looked and began flipping pages. So you were right, Howler. He does like guys, Kitsune said. Sakura just stared, looking quite shocked at what she was seeing. It couldn't be real, it had to be a dream. Yeah, it had to be a dream. Anytime now she'd wake up. Yes, it is all a dream. My precious little butt humper doesn't like any butt, but mine, it's all a dream, just a dream. I shall wake up and know that there's only butt he will want to hump and that it mine. All mine, Kitsune whispered in Sakura's ear like he was trying to hypnotize her. Kitsune, Tenton said. Kitsune turned to Tenton, who had appeared on the Team 7's training ground since her team had already parted ways after her sensei announced their nomination to the Chunin exams. Shush, Panda. I am about to make her think she's an actual howler monkey and she likes to throw her poopy all over people, he said with a grin. Kitsune, it's not nice to do that to your team, Tenton said sternly. Yeah, but it's fun, Kitsune countered. Tenton shook her head. Kitsune stretched his arms as he wandered around. He was bored. Since announcing to his team they'd be in the Chunin exams he had nothing to do. Well, that wasn't really true. He still pranked the hell out of certain people and clans, but that had lost most of its flair. He needed new challenges, victims. It didn't mean it had gotten totally boring either. But there was only so many times you can prank someone till they get wise. So Kitsune needed fresh meat and a new strategy. Kitsune, I do need to train for the Chunin exams, Tenton said. But that's boring, Panda. Why train when it's much more fun messing with everyone and everything? Kitsune asked. I'd like to advance to Chunin, Tenton said. Kitsune paused in thought, then stopped and got on one knee, taking Tenton's hand. Very well, my beloved Panda. I shall help train you for the Chunin exams so you can kick all sorts of ass and be the baddest ass kunoichi ever, he announced. Tenton smiled at this. Kitsune was many things that would be associated with being crazy, but he did really care for her, and if she wanted something he'd help her in any way possible so she could get it. Whether it would be legal was up for debate, however. Great, let's go to a training ground, she said. Tenten felt good. She had been training with Kitsune's clones and that got her skills sharpened, and she worked on other things too. Sure, she did some training with her team, but she liked working on her own, and Kitsune's clones were a godsend. She didn't have to worry about actually harming Kitsune at all and go all out on the clones. Plus, when she hit the clones, they always did overly dramatic death acting. It was kind of funny. Right now she and Kitsune were walking enjoying the day. That's when they saw three figures run by them. What the? Tenten asked. Come Pandaheim, I have a feeling excitement has come, Kitsune said with a grin. Tenten sighed and followed Kitsune. They found a little kid being held up by their collar by what appears to be a Suna nin. Kitsune got a big grin on his face. Little brat, I am going to teach you some manners, the Suna nin growled. Kankuro, knock it off, the Suna kunoichi said in an annoyed tone. Yeah, just let me get this out of the way, Kankuro said. He then pulled his fist back and slammed it into the kid's face. But got a surprise. As soon as his fist hit the kid, he exploded with a burst of bright neon pink paint that splattered all over him. What the? He shouted. Tenten raised an eyebrow since she knew this was Kitsune's work, but how was the question? Kitsune did a quick switch with the kid and replaced him with his newest innovation, exploding paint clone. An exploding paint clone is pretty much what it says. The clone explodes, but in a burst of paint. Color varies. But that wasn't the end of the prank. Above Kankuro's head was a big banner that said, "Congrats, you're a girl." With a flashing green neon arrow pointing down at Kankuro. The Suna kunoichi looked shocked as she had specks of neon pink paint on her due to being close to Kankuro. Who did this? Kankuro growled as he wiped the pink paint from his eyes. Hiya Pinky, Kitsune said waving his hand. It was you? Kankuro growled. Kitsune just smiled. You're dead, Kankuro said as he began to shrug a pack off his back. You're going to use Crow? The Suna kunoichi asked. Yeah, this bastard deserves it, Kankuro said. Actually, you're the ones in trouble, Tenton said stepping in. You are going to harm a Konoha civilian in front of Konoha shinobi. Suna and Konoha may be allies, but we don't take it kindly when even our allies try to pick on our civilians. Not to mention Bobo the clown here was going to hit the Hokage's grandson, Kitsune chirped in. He knew of Konohamaru due to Naruto's memories, which he could access. You idiot, the Suna kunoichi said as she raised and then lowered her big folded fan onto Kankuro's head. Ow, that hurt Tamari, Kankuro grumbled as he rubbed his sore head. You're the one who tried to assault a relative of the Hokage, idiot, Tamari said. So you're here for the Chunin exams? Kitsune asked. Yeah we are, Tamari said. Good, then call out your little friend from the tree, Kitsune said. Soon a swirl of sand appeared and a red-haired boy appeared. He was pale with dark circles under his eyes. Kankuro, you're a disgrace to the village, he said. Gaara, Kankuro stuttered. Kitsune walked up to Gaara and looked him over. You need to loosen up. Oh I know, he said as he rummaged through his sack. He then pulled out a doobie the size of a cigar and shoved it into Gaara's mouth. Then he lit the other end of the doobie and Gaara inhaled. Kitsune, is that what I think it is? Tenten asked. Yeah, some of the best shit in the whole world. Pandaheim, Kitsune said proudly. Tenten again didn't feel like she should ask how Kitsune got these drugs. Gaara though began puffing on the doobie, and when he finished he blew out big smoke rings. As hazy smoke encircled him like clouds around a mountain top. Now that's some good shit, he said now as high as a kite. What did you do? Tamari asked, absolutely stunned at what she was seeing. I relaxed him, Kitsune said, waiting for her to say thank you. Tamari and Kankuro were very nervous though since they knew what Gaara held. What they didn't know was Kitsune's weed he had put in the doobie was super potent and would have killed normal people, but for Jinchuriki like himself this mellowed them out. Even the biju inside. So right now Shukaku was as high as Gaara and wanted munchies, not blood. You got any mores? Gaara asked with slurred speech. Heck yeah, here, Kitsune said as he pulled out 6 one-pound bags and handed them to Gaara. As well as handed Gaara some rolling paper and an instruction pamphlet entitled, How to Roll Your Own Joints in 7 Easy Steps. Thanks, so going to enjoy this shit, Gaara said as he kept puffing on the doobie. Right, glad to be of help, Kitsune said. Let's us go my peeps, Gaara said then left as he puffed away. Tamari and Konkuro weren't sure what the heck was going on, but followed Gaara. Soon it was time for the Chunin exam and Kitsune met his team just outside. "Yo, ready to have your asses handed to you in supreme and hilarious fashion?" Kitsune asked. Sasuke just brooded and Sakura gulped. They entered the academy building and made their way up. They found a big crowd of genin milling around a doorway. "Come on, please let us enter," Tenten pleaded. "My Pandaheim," Kitsune said. He then saw one of the ninja blocking the door push Tenten down and Kitsune saw red. No one hurt his Pandaheim. He dashed forward quicker than lightning and had the ninja stripped naked, hog-tied and wearing a diaper with a big red heart on the rump and a pink pacifier in their mouth. "No one, and I mean no one messes with my Pandaheim," Kitsune growled. Everyone took a few steps back feeling the immense pressure Kitsune was giving off. They couldn't find any air to breathe. Tenten got up and sighed. "It's all right Kitsune," she said gently. Kitsune relaxed and that made everyone breath again. "You alright, Pandaheim?" he asked. "I'm fine Kitsune," Tenten said. Kitsune nodded and then looked around and frowned. "Well, best to get going," he said. "HMPH, let's leave all the idiots down here under that pathetic excuse of a genjutsu," Sasuke crowed. "Congrats Emo Duck, you just won the Giant Ass of the Day award," Kitsune said. He then handed Sasuke a trophy that had a bronzed naked butt with a plaque underneath that had Sasuke's name, date and the name of the award. "What is this loser?" Sasuke asked as he looked at the bronzed butt. "Well Emo Duck, you just messed with the first part of the exam, thus being stupid since this was to weed out competitors," Kitsune said. "Whatever, I am an Uchiha. I can beat anyone," Sasuke boasted. "Excellent, really it is. But can you say it with more feeling?" Kitsune asked like he was a director on a movie set. Actually he was sitting in a director's chair with a blowhorn. "What are you talking about loser?" Sasuke asked with gritted teeth. "Well, you sound so monologue-ish. I mean, yeesh. Spice it up some," Kitsune said. None of the genin standing there were sure what to make of Kitsune. "Kitsune, we need to go so we won't be late," Tenten said. "Right Pandaheim, let us go Emo Duck and Pink Howler. Your ass kicking is awaiting," Kitsune said. They headed up with Team 9. Kakashi met his team at the door and wished them good luck. When they entered Neji's entrance music began. "Dude Looks Like a Lady" by Aerosmith, making everyone in the room look at the group. Neji's eye ticked since he had to deal with this every time he entered a room. No matter what, so every one of the Hyugas always knew where he was really. He couldn't even go to the bathroom without his entrance music playing. Team 8 and 10 came over though they kept their distance from Kitsune. Kitsune though didn't seem to care as he was with his Pandaheim. "Sasuke, you're here," Ino shouted as she leapt at the Uchiha. She latched on and began to rub herself against her target happily. She then looked up and her eyes went wide. She was actually hugging and rubbing Shikamaru of all people. She screamed as she jumped back. Shikamaru looked very annoyed and red-faced. He so didn't need to know how Ino felt against him like that. It was all so very troublesome. As for Sasuke, he was right next to Choji and dressed baby blue onesie that read, "I'm emo, I need my baba and a diaper change." The rest of the rookie genin were baffled how this all happened while Tenten sighed and looked at Kitsune who looked amused at his work. Some of the other genin in the room laughed at this. It dissolved the tension in the room. "You know you're a loud bunch," a genin with glasses said. "And you look like you enjoy getting rogered in the loading docks," Kitsune said. This had everyone look at Kitsune. "What, am I the only one who thinks the guy likes getting bored from the rear? I mean, all he needs is a shirt that says," Kitsune said, then a devious smile appeared on his face. He went to his rucksack and rummaged through it. He then pulled something out and forcefully put it on the glasses-wearing genin. When it was done, the genin was wearing a bright neon shirt with neon pink lettering that boldly said, "Shipments in the rear." All packages must be huge. Kiba couldn't help himself as he fell over laughing. Other genin in the room laughed again since this was too damn funny. Tenten shook her head. The genin wearing the shirt tried to take it off, but couldn't. "Why can't I get this thing off?" he asked as he wrestled with the shirt. Kitsune just grinned. "Fuinjutsu?" Tenten asked Kitsune. Kitsune smiled as his blue eyes twinkled and that gave Tenten her answer. "Anyway, you all best be quiet," the glasses-wearing genin said. "Yeah, like we believe you," Kiba snickered. "Who are you?" Sasuke demanded. My name is Kabuto and I've been to these exams, he said. How many? Sakura asked. 7, Kabuto answered. Man, you must suck, Kiba barked out. He probably does as well as blows too, Kitsune mumbled. Tenten couldn't help but smile at this since Kabuto did look like the type to be on his knees. I can help you all out. I got these cards that give you info on all the competitors here, Kabuto said. Oh, let me see, Kitsune said as he ripped the cards out of Kabuto's hands. Junk, not worth much, crap, more crap, this is worthless. No use in a fight. This one looks like it needs to get betted more, wouldn't trade for a Willie Mays card. Definitely toss that one. What booster pack did you get this from? Weaker than a Pikachu card. Couldn't even beat a Watapin, Kitsune said as he flipped through the cards like he was looking through baseball cards. The rookie Genin looked at Kitsune like he was mad. All worthless, Kitsune surmised as the entire deck went up in smoke. This shocked everyone, especially Kabuto since it took him so much time to get all the information. Now all lost. Dude, why'd you do that? Kiba asked. Before Kitsune could answer though he got a customer. Yo Kitsune, my homie. I need some mores of that hot shit, Gaara said as he came over. He had a constant hovering cloud of smoke above him as he was toned out of his freaking mind and his eyes more bloodshot than ever. Gaara, my best costumer behind Asuma. How much do you need? Kitsune asked as his appearance changed to wearing a dark trench coat and looking shifty. The lighting around also seemed to change like he was in a seedy alleyway. In fact it looked like they were in a seedy alley. Kitsune put the scenery up to enhance the mood he wanted as a drug dealer. Is it just me or is Naruto trying to sell drugs to that Suna nin? Ino asked. He isn't trying, he is, Shikamaru said. The rest of the rookie genin watched as the deal went down. They all felt uneasy watching it though not sure what to really do. Thanks man, I can't get enough of this shit, Gaara said smiling wide in a creep non-bloodthirsty way. No problem, Kitsune said with his appearance returning to normal. All right brats, shut up and find your seats. Ibiki Morino entered the room with several Chunin. Scar head, Kitsune shouted. Ibiki froze as he saw Kitsune and beads of sweat appeared. Shit, I thought Kitsune wanting to be in the Chunin exams was all a rumor the head of the tea and I thought. Anyway, sit in your seat that has been assigned, he said as he kept his composure outwardly. Inside he was freaked. He still had memories of when he tried to seal up the Kitsune part of Naruto's mind. He was found in assless leather chaps and a rhinestone leather vest in a male bordello working all that his mama gave him. And that was what he could remember. There was huge gaps that he really didn't want to ever know about. He just remembered trying to seal the Kitsune part then bam his stripping debut. Once everyone was seated Ibiki went over the rules. The first part of the exam is a test. You all have to answer 10 questions. You also will have 10 points each. Each question you get wrong or miss a point will be deducted. Points will also be deducted if you're found cheating. Your individual points will be connected to your team. So that means if you mess up it affects your team, Ibiki said. But there are only 9 questions, Sakura said. The pink howler can count. How many fingers am I holding up now? Kitsune asked as he produced 5 clones and they held up fingers too. Enough. I will be giving out the 10th question after 45 minutes. You may begin, Ibiki said with a tick on his forehead. As the sound of scribbling was going on Kitsune looked absolutely bored. He thought going through the Chunin exams would be fun, but it was a snore right now. He wanted to do something, but he didn't want to get thrown out since he wanted to be with his Pandaheim. So this meant he had to be sneakier, which he took as a challenge. Challenge accepted Scarhead, Kitsune chuckled darkly. The Chunin that heard the chuckling swallowed hard and so wish he wasn't sitting so close to Kitsune. Ibiki felt a cold shiver run down his spine. It didn't take long and some of the test papers began to come alive. They launched themselves at their test taker by biting them or snapping at them if they got too close. Others would start bad-mouthing them for their poor penmanship while others made very suggestive innuendos in very low male baritones to the guys. For the girls it critiqued their bodies in a very shrill high nasally voice. It was chaos. Ibiki knew it was Kitsune, but had no evidence that could prove it was him. So he couldn't throw him out. Tenten saw this going on and shook her head. She kept writing since her test was pretty much the only one unaffected by Kitsune's prank. After 45 minutes passed and several teams eliminated, Ibiki gave out the final question. Kitsune had fallen asleep during the chaos. Ibiki wanted to pick on Kitsune, but knew that would be like poking a sleeping dragon. So he left him alone. After everyone passed the final question, a crash was heard as a window shattered. A black blob appeared and revealed a scantily clad woman only wearing a trench coat, a mesh body stocking and an orange skirt with a dang stick in her mouth. Behind was a banner that read, Anko Mitarashi, number 1 Waikunoichi. Kitsune awoke at the crash and saw this. He then held up a card that read a 3. His clones he had created gave their scores, which were 2, 1, 2, 0.5, and 1.5. What the hell, brat? What gives? Why a freaking 3, and what the hell with the other low scores? Anko asked, enraged at her score. You had a good entrance, but I deducted several points due to the fact that your proclamation is very misleading, Kitsune said. His clones all nodded in agreement, then disappeared along with their scores. They weren't needed since they had served their purpose. What the hell does that mean? Anko asked. You're not the number 1 Waikunoichi, Kitsune said. Oh yeah, then who is? Anko asked, wanting to eliminate her competition. My lovely Pandaheim, Kitsune said. A bright spotlight shone down on Tenton and that embarrassed her immensely. She tucked her head down, feeling the heat in her cheeks. That brat, what does she have that I don't? Anko asked as she posed a very seductive pose that made several guys get nosebleeds. She's not only and hot, but she got the brains to match, Kitsune said. HMPH, you don't know a good thing when you can see it, brat, Anko said, crossing her arms, pouting. I can see just fine. Just my eyes only see Pandaheim, Kitsune said. HMPH, whatever, no time to celebrate, brats. I'm your next examiner and I bring the hell, Anko said as she cackled like a madwoman with a very insane glint in her eye. This made all the remaining genin scared. Kitsune jotted something down and walked over to Anko and handed her his note. Anko read and crumbled it. What the hell do you mean I got no style, brat? She shouted. Simple, this is how you induce fear into these worthless peons, Kitsune said with a sinister grin. The lights grew dim till you couldn't see much. Then scary, ominous music began to play. Dark smoke began to billow out of nowhere and swirl, and then chilling laughter was heard from all over, it seemed. Foolish mortals, prepare for your deaths. I am your worst nightmare come true. A very dark, ominous voice said. All the genin were trying hard not to wet themselves. Appearing out of the cloud of swirling dark smoke was a big muscled demon-looking figure. He was black-colored with highlighted blue streaking through him like veins. He had 2 grotesque horns sticking out of his forehead and a blazing fire for hair and shiny coal-black eyes that glared at all the genin present. I am Beelzebub, the demon of your destruction. The demon roared. That did it, the genin all fainted. The lights came up and Kitsune stood there smirking at his work. And that's how it's done, amateur, he said, then walked out of the room. The only one unaffected was of course Tenton. She sighed and shook her head as she looked around. Anko stood there utterly shocked at what she had seen. I am so going to want to learn that shit, she said. Ibiki, however, was cowered in the corner, scared out of his mind. Not of Naruto's demon performance, but Naruto decided to mess with him while doing the demon performance. What he did was reveal a few gaps he had in his memory after he tried to seal Kitsune up. The gap he revealed was of Ibiki wearing a little Bo Peep costume and tending to a lot of inflatable sheep and, caring for all of them in a very loving manner. And in a very high girly voice that he wasn't even aware he could do at all without the use of helium. Several hours later, shaky and scared genin appeared at the entrance of the Forest of Death. They got directions from their Chunin sensei. Welcome to the Forest of Death, brats, Anko announced. A dark cloud loomed over the forest as thunder rumbled and lightning arced across the blackened sky. What was strange was that the thunder, lightning and dark clouds only stayed over the Forest of Death. Everywhere else around was nice and sunny. Welcome, little peons, get ready to taste real hell. Beelzebub thundered from the dark cloud. I'll be feasting on not only your bodies, but your souls too very soon. Tenten looked at Kitsune, who was reading something without a care in the world. Anko wasn't pleased at being upstaged. Sure, she thought this was all freaking awesome, but it was taking her thunder. The blonde brat had to be taught a lesson on who is in charge. She pulled out a kunai and threw at Kitsune. The kunai hit Kitsune and Kitsune exploded in red streamers and papier-mâché organs. What the hell? Anko exclaimed, shocked at the sight. Nicely done, Lady Serpent, but still no tomato, Kitsune said. Anko turned and found Kitsune sitting right beside her. He was sipping a cup of tea from an English tea set. How the hell did that brat get here, she thought. After that, the instructions were given and waivers signed. Kitsune was with his team by their assigned gate. The Chunin there looked like he wanted to be anywhere else since Kitsune was staring right at him. You need some fun, Kitsune said with a crazy grin. Soon the buzzer sounded, beginning the second stage of the Chunin exams. Neji's entrance music was heard in the distance. The Chunin let out a sigh of relief. Hey, I'm not done with you yet, a Kitsune clone said. The Chunin cried. Sasuke and Sakura leapt through the trees as Kitsune was shooting something out of his wrists and swinging on the stuff. What are you doing, loser? Sasuke asked. Swinging from my web's emo duck, Kitsune said, then went to humming a certain web-slinger's theme song. Sakura and Sasuke looked at each other but didn't say a thing. They weren't really sure what to say. They kept going till they decided to stop and rest for a bit. Kitsune groaned loudly, I'm so bored. Shut up, loser, Sasuke muttered. A genin team from Waterfall appeared and Kitsune grinned. Playtime, he said with a grin. Screams were heard throughout the forest. Tenten heard these screams and shook her head. She knew they were the work of Kitsune. Well, that was a waste, Kitsune grumbled, looking and feeling quite disappointed. He had taken the entire genin team down by himself, before Sasuke or Sakura could even act, with a massive assault of pranks. One of the genin had fur all over their body and was scratching due to getting fleas as an added bonus. Another was dealing with a bad rash that was only placed in very uncomfortable areas, so they were left rubbing their butt and crotch on the ground, alternating between the two to get at least some relief, and the last couldn't stop belting out show tunes whenever they opened their mouth. In the end they found a double of the scroll they had, but Kitsune kept since he figured he could find a way to use it as a prank or something. Team 7 kept going till a gust of wind came out of nowhere. Kitsune decided this would be a good time to take a piss into the wind, but he diverted the stream and it hit Sasuke's face instead. What the hell, loser? Sasuke asked with urine all over his face. Pissed on, are we? Kitsune asked with a smirk. My, look what we have here. Team 7 turned to find a grass nin standing there. Dude, my pedo radar is screaming here, Kitsune said. The grass nin shot a glare at Kitsune. Ah crap, we got a pedo here, Kitsune groaned. I am not a pedo, damn it. The grass nin shouted. A pedo says what? Kitsune asked casually. What? The grass nin said. You confirmed you're a pedo, Kitsune said with a nod of his head. No. I did not, the grass nin cried. I hate to agree with the loser, but you did, Sasuke said. Sakura just nodded her head in total agreement, and because Sasuke, but because it was true. The grass nin didn't look happy at all. I was here to test Sasuke, but I think I will take you out first, she said. Oh hell no, molest emo duck first. I am sure he'd like that kind of thing. He looks like the kind of emo who likes it rough, Kitsune said as he tried to ward the grass nin off like an evil spirit. A tick appeared in the grass nin's eye. That's it, time to show you who you're up against, she said, then peeled her face off. Damn, that's so sick. I got to learn that trick, Kitsune said in awe. I am Orochimaru, the former grass nin proclaimed after tearing the false face off. I knew it, a genuine 100% pedo, Kitsune said confidently. I am not a pedo. Orochimaru shouted. Yeah, sure, Kitsune said in a bored, uncaring tone. Here, open this. Tossing an egg-shaped thing at Orochimaru. What is this? The snake Sanin asked as he examined the egg with curiosity and hesitancy. Open it and find out, Kitsune said. Orochimaru couldn't help himself and he opened it. A burst of bright pink sparkle-filled smoke erupted, and when smoke dissipated there was a bright pink neon sign above the snake Sanin that read, I am a gay pedo, and damn proud of it. The snake Sanin looked up and read it. I am not, Orochimaru whined as he stomped his foot childishly. Sakura and Sasuke just blinked. This couldn't be the snake Sanin and S-ranked missing nin. Forget that, time to test you, Sasuke, Orochimaru said. He then launched himself at Sasuke, but before he could reach the Uchiha, Kitsune leapt in front and like a bullfighter raised a cape. But it wasn't a red cape, but it was a cape that had a vulgar drawing of a young pubescent boy bent over. "Toro, Toro," Kitsune cried. Orochimaru was furious as he passed through the cape. "Who are you?" he scowled. "I'm Kitsune, Scourge of the Earth, the prankster from hell, the terror of the leaf," Kitsune said proudly as Grand Heroic played in the background. Kitsune had a boombox behind him playing the music. He would have hired a full orchestra, but then he had to deal with unions and he didn't want that. So he went cheap, boombox. Orochimaru frowned. He wasn't familiar with Kitsune at all and he was sure he knew all shinobi Konoha had due to his spies, but Kitsune was an unknown. "Now pale pedo," Orochimaru got a tick in his eye hearing this. "I am getting bored with this. So let's end it, for now," Kitsune said. Before Orochimaru could act, an explosion was set off, and when the smoke cleared, the great snake Sanin, dressed in assless black leather chaps and a black leather vest with little black leather tassels, and on the back of the vest in glittery coral pink rhinestones it said, "I'm a buckin' ridin' kind of cowboy," with a matching coral pink rhinestone covered cowboy hat. "What the hell was that loser?" Sasuke asked. Kitsune had pulled Sakura and Sasuke during the explosion. "The pale pedo was too into you, and I am sure you want to save your virgin ass to be deflowered by some male whore you pay rather than get it violated here and now." "Not very romantic," Kitsune said. "Sasuke isn't gay," Sakura shouted. "Doesn't matter how many times you saying that, it doesn't mean it's true," Kitsune said. "You think you can escape me?" Orochimaru asked, still wearing the outfit that Kitsune had put on him. He had tried to remove it, but just like Kabuto's outfit he couldn't. It was frustrating for him. He then stretched his neck out and latched it onto Sasuke's neck. Sasuke hissed in pain and fell unconscious. "Come to me when you feel you need power," Orochimaru said, then disappeared. "Just great, pale pedo had to mark him with a love bite," Kitsune grumbled. They had to rest with the Uchiha out. Kitsune took the time to examine the seal in Sasuke's neck. He was bored and there was nothing to do. He looked at it while Sakura snored away. Interesting. The pale pedo does have some skill in bastardizing this seal. Let me see what I can do to fuck it with some," Kitsune said with an evil grin. Inside the cursed seal, a pale white snake, Orochimaru, waited. It was still waiting to see if his host would survive, and so far it appeared so. The place was all dark and gloomy, looking like a black endless void. "Hello, giant tampon." Snake Orochimaru turned its serpentine head to see Kitsune standing there. "Who are you and how'd you get in here?" he asked. "Simple, I just unlocked the door. You've got crappy locks, by the way," Kitsune said as he rocked back on his heels looking around. "Geez. This place needs some razzle-dazzle, it's so emo gloom chic." "Leave this place, at once," Snake Orochimaru demanded. "Why would I leave when I just got here?" Kitsune asked, blinking innocently. Snake Orochimaru got pissed and lunged from its spot, but Kitsune hopped away and pulled out a hoop that he went through instead and also transformed into Garter Snake. "What have you done to me?" "Wait, what has happened to my voice?" Snake Orochimaru squeaked. His voice was now like a chipmunk. "There now, let's get you all caged up and take you to show and tell," Kitsune said with a grin. Snake Orochimaru tried to slither away, but Kitsune caught him, threw him into a glass tank with a sunrock and gravel bed. "I am not a pet, I am Orochimaru. The greatest of the Sanin, the immortal being. Is that a rat?" Snake Orochimaru asked. "Yup, you hungry BB?" Kitsune asked. Snake Orochimaru nodded and Kitsune dropped the rat inside and he ate it. "Wait, what the hell am I doing? I am not a pet, and did that twerp call me BB?" he thought. "Oh, forget about it, this rock is so nice and warm." Kitsune turned on a heat lamp for his new pet, BB. "Now time to have some fun," he said with a grin. He then began decorating the entire space in lavender, baby blue, hot pink and garish yellow. He then added magazines that had cover pics of moody boys and other magazines that had all the latest fetishes for gay couples. He also put a jukebox in with every show tune there was. "Right, my job is done here," Kitsune said as he dusted his hands off then left. Kitsune leaned back grinning now out of the seal. He had given BB to Kyuubi as a pet since Kyuubi had been such a good sport. "I so love this kid," the giant fox said. The Biju had been watching everything that had been going on since Kitsune's reappearance. He just loved watching all the shit Kitsune did. It was his favorite show. It annoyed the hell out of him when Naruto was in charge because he was really no fun compared to Kitsune. Naruto was all about training and becoming Hokage while Kitsune was all about creating and causing as much mayhem as he could. They finally got into the tower with the 2 required scrolls. It was a tiring thing and Kitsune was bored of it all. When the second trial was done with and Hiruzen explained things, he bowed out. The Chunin exams weren't as fun as he thought they'd be. So he sat up with his team watching the prelims. "Time to get bitch slapped, emo duck," Kitsune said happily. Sasuke glared at Kitsune, then went down and fought his opponent, Orochimaru. "Huh, he's a sucker," Kitsune observed. He was watching as Sasuke's opponent absorbed Sasuke's chakra. "Hey, if you really want to suck something, aim lower and more towards the center. It's small so you might miss it a couple times. But you know what they say, great things come in small packages." Kitsune shouted. There was utter shock and then laughter from some hearing this. Kakashi's eye was wide as he felt some heated looks on his back. Those looks were coming from his fellow Junin. Well, not all of the Junin, since Asuma was stoned out of his mind at the moment. "I didn't teach him that, I swear," he said desperately. His fellow Junin didn't seem to believe him. "Come on, are you shy? You like sucking everywhere else." Kitsune shouted. "Your teammate is a nuisance," Yoroi said. "You have no idea," Sasuke growled. The match finished with Sasuke using a fire jutsu burning Yoroi. He then walked back up. "Not your type, emo duck?" Kitsune asked. Sasuke ignored Kitsune. "Not to worry, I am sure that there's a guy that'll get you all stiff and stuff," Kitsune said. "Sasuke isn't gay," Sakura screeched. Ino nodded in agreement with this. The next couple of matches were a bore really. Then when it came to Sakura and Ino's match, Kitsune grinned. "And now for your viewing pleasure, the Konoha network proudly presents Girly Ass Smackdown," Kitsune announced with a voice that filled the room. "In this corner is the pansy who can be heard all the way to IWA. The girl with the boy body, it's Pinky the Howler Monkey." Sakura was furious as her cheeks were a crimson red. She was so going to kill Naruto or Kitsune or whatever he called himself. He was making her look like a fool. And in this corner is the girl with a set of lungs that it must be a pleasure to bust her drum. The girl that likes to show skin to wet every guy's pants, it's Stripperella, Kitsune announced. Ino walked down very angry and she was going to kill Naruto after her match. She didn't care if Asuma tried to stop her. He was going to die. Who gives a flying fuck if Naruto provided what Asuma calls the best shit he's ever smoked? Everyone in the room were laughing at this. It didn't show Konoha in the best light really. Tenten sighed and shook her head, though there was an amused twitch on her lips. Both Ino and Sakura looked at each other and nodded. They had a plan. They pulled a couple of shuriken and threw them at each other. They then replaced themselves with logs reappearing on the balcony. Once on the balcony, they charged at Kitsune with righteous screams of fury. They got to Kitsune and began to pound and beat him into a very bloody pulp. All the males there were scared out of their wits witnessing the sheer carnage before them. Even the proctor just stared shocked, so shocked he didn't say a thing. Just watched the horror going on above him. When Ino and Sakura were done, all that was left was a blob of flesh that was barely breathing. Blood was everywhere. This appeared to be the worst beating a female has ever done to a male, and that counts all the times a certain perverted Sannin peeked in on a certain chakra-powered super-strength Sannin. Bravo, bravo. Such carnage, such destruction. Oh, the passion just brings a tear to my eye. This had everyone turn and find Kitsune alive, whole and totally unharmed. He was standing by the Hokage. This shocked everyone, especially Ino and Sakura, and had them wondering if he is there then who got the very vicious beating. The one who actually got the beating was one Kabuto. Kitsune switched himself with the unsuspecting victim, and he had no time to prepare himself for the ruthlessly violent beating he got from Sakura and Ino. Ino and Sakura are disqualified," the judge said after some moments of just stunned silence. The matches went on. Then it was Tenten's match, Kitsune's Pandaheim's. Kitsune began shouting and cheering loud enough to be his own cheering section. In fact, that was what he was thanks to his shadow clones. They were all holding up banners and signs ranging from declaring their love for Tenten to rooting for her to kick her opponent's ass. Tenten blushed hard seeing all the adoration she was getting from Kitsune. She faced off against the grass nin and beat him soundly. It didn't help that whenever the grass nin looked up they'd see the very scary face of Kitsune that promised sheer and utter pain if they hurt Tenton. That distracted the grass nin more than enough. Tenton won her match and she grinned. Soon a spotlight came down on her and Kitsune walked up holding a lovely rose bouquet. "Congrats Pandaheim, you've just advanced to the Chunin finals. What are you going to do now?" he asked in an overly exaggerated announcer voice as he held a mic. Tenton shook her head as she sighed. "Going to rest Kitsune, then train for the finals and hopefully become a Chunin in the end," she said into the mic. "Excellent Pandaheim, we must celebrate. Village-wide prank spectacular. Away," Kitsune announced. Everywhere in the village pranks went off. There was screams, shouts, loud laughter and various other things. It was utter chaos. People's clothes vanished leaving them either naked or in hot pink or garish yellow leather bondage outfits. Hair changed to flashy neon colors that actually flashed different bright neon colors. People breaking out in rashes. Some people dancing as low-level exploding tags went off under their feet. All of this going on and then some, and it didn't matter if you were affected by one prank since you could be hit by different ones at once. No one was safe. Then there was the fireworks going off everywhere too. Loud ones, so loud they roared like cannon fire. It startled everyone in the entire village. Hiruzen groaned as he put his head in his hands. He was going to have so much paperwork in front of him now. He so wanted to cry, but couldn't, not in front of everyone. Kitsune led Tenton away beaming at her the whole way. Tenton was blushing from Kitsune's adoration he was pouring on her. The rest of the matches went on after that with Gaara, who was still stoned out of his mind that didn't feel anything as his opponent fought him. Gaara ended it after getting so annoyed that some was trying to mess with his high that he used his sand and created a pike that was shoved up the guy's ass. The guy screamed in pain that ended in whimpers of pleasure. "Hey, I bet you wished that was you, emo duck," Kitsune said. Sasuke didn't even answer that, which Kitsune took as a yes. The match with Tenten's teammate Lee went with Kitsune deciding it needed a mud wrestling theme. He filled the arena with a big pool of mud, and when Lee and his opponent got down there their clothes changed to string thongs. "This is most unyouthful. I feel this string up my rump," Lee commented. "At least yours isn't hot pink," his opponent said. Which was true. Lee's string thong was a garish lime green color. "Now for the mud wrestling begin," Kitsune shouted. Lee and his opponent fought and mud was flung all over as they grappled. They were compelled to do this even if they didn't want to. "Kitsune, what did you do?" Tenton asked. Just some seals on the floor to make them mud wrestle like the Romans of old did," Kitsune said. "Kitsune, I am sure these Romans didn't mud wrestle," Tenton said, though she had no clue who these Romans were. "No, they wrestled all oiled up and naked, but I was out of baby oil since I used it all up on something else. I don't think anyone wanted to see them naked. So this was the compromise," Kitsune said. Several who heard this were relieved. They really didn't need to see two naked genin covered in baby oil wrestling. Though they were sure this wasn't the happy medium in between. "Yosh, I won," Lee cried, then his thong fell off due to the strain it had been put through. It was a sight that couldn't be unseen. Afterwards the remaining participants drew lots to see who they would be facing in the finals. Now out of the forest and knowing there was a month before the finals, Kitsune had to think of what to do. He did promise his Pandaheim to train with her to get her ready for the finals. But what else could he do? That was the big question. He wandered around till it got late, and that's when he heard someone running. He turned to see a girl he vaguely remembered in the prelims. She was from Sound or Auto or something like that. He wasn't paying too much attention at the time. But she was running and scared. This unlocked something in him. A part of Naruto really. The sense to protect people. He jumped and swung down from a grappling hook he had deployed earlier. He swooped down and picked the girl up all at Tarzan minus the hollering, though he did contemplate doing hat, but decided that ruined the badass aura he was going for at the moment. All that was missing was some badass flowing cape action, but his cape was still at the cleaners. It's such a pain to get out 2 weak chocolate stains out. So he used his cape as a makeshift napkin. He couldn't find a napkin to begin with and needed one. Once on the roof with the girl he looked her over better. "My fair maiden, what has caused such fear for you to run?" Kitsune asked. The girl blinked, she had no idea what to say to that. Tut 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 kin, thinking you can escape me," Orochimaru said in a creepy tone. "Ah pale pedo, Kitsune said. You? Orochimaru cried. Yup, me. Now pale pedo. I don't know what's going on here, but you shouldn't be molesting girls. I know you're just trying to prove to the fellas that you're a real manly man and all, but you shouldn't fight your natural urges. Go after little boys, you get your rocks off on that, not girls, Kitsune said. I am not, I wasn't, I don't. Ugh, Orochimaru growled. Denial isn't just a river in Egypt, pale pedo. Now leave, kin is it? Kitsune asked, turning his head to the girl, who nodded. Good, now leave kin alone. She knows good touch and bad touch. She'll scream and call for an adult if you try it again. Orochimaru's eye-tick was going at a hummingbird pace. No one, not even his old teammate Jiraiya, could annoy him this much. He was so exasperated that he just left, forgetting all about what he was going to do with Kin. He just wanted to get away from Kitsune. Good, now that he's left, what to do with you, Kitsune asked out loud. Kin was now scared. She had escaped Orochimaru, but now she was in the hands of the enemy. She knew she was dead now. I know, Kin, is that just your name or do you have a last too? Kitsune asked. Suchi, it's Kin Suchi, Kin said, then cursed herself for giving out her full name. Right, Kin Suchi, do you solemnly swear to be my ever-obedient servant in my quest to prank the entire world? Kitsune asked. Kin blinked. Was this guy for real? I mean, was he actually serious? From the look on his face he was. She had thought this guy was messed up in the head when she saw him in the beginning in the exams, and seeing him during the prelims just backed up that claim. But here she was at his mercy. She didn't have many options really. Go back and be used as whatever in one of Orochimaru's experiments before dying in excruciating death. Turn herself into Konoha and get interrogated, or pledge herself to this guy and be safe. None of the options seemed pleasing to her really, but she decided to go with Kitsune, the unknown, since she thought she might have a better shot in living. I, Kin Suchi, solemnly swear on my life to be your ever-obedient servant in your quest and prank the entire world, Kin said, kneeling before Kitsune with her head down. Kitsune touched her head and smiled. At last, my very first follower, he thought. He then placed a mark on the back of her neck with his fingertips. It tickled Kin instead of feeling any pain. The mark was of a fox with a set of maracas in its paws and big huge stogie in its maw. Arise, Kin, he said. Kin did. You're my first of many followers who will spread my brand of chaos, mayhem and free 50% discounts every 4th or 5th Friday in between the times of 4 to 6 inches, Kitsune said with an insane grin. Maybe I should have just turned myself in, Kin thought. Tenton walked to the training field she was using to train to find Kitsune standing there looking quite pleased with himself. Oh, who had been pranked this time without me knowing? She thought. Pandaheim, my grand plan of world pranking domination has now begun, Kitsune said with such a euphoric glee. This made Tenton pause. Okay, this is new. He must have just come up with this, she thought. Oh, it has, she said like she knew Kitsune's plan all along. She had quite a bit of practice over the years with Kitsune to get the act down very well. Yup, I already got my first follower too, Kitsune said happily. And who is it? Tenton asked. My minion, come forth, Kitsune called. Kin walked out feeling uncomfortable since she was wearing the same bodysuit as Kitsune, though instead of the blood-red stripes they were a blue color, but everything else the same as Kitsune. Along with the rucksack. But she's the girl from the exams, Tenton said, shocked. Yup, I found her running from the pale pedo and took her in. She was a lost lamb, and as the great shepherd I herded her into my flock, Kitsune said with wizened wisdom. Wait, pale pedo. Kitsune, what happened during the exams? Tenton asked, confused. Here, I wrote out everything, Kitsune said as he pulled out a book. Tenton shook her head and took the book and began to read it, and her eyes widened hearing that Orochimaru had appeared, and then this girl, named Kin, was running from the snake Sanin. Tenton felt like this was much bigger. And of course Kitsune was in the middle of it. Kitsune, did you tell the Hokage about this? She asked. Why? He's too busy with all that paperwork he loves so much. Kitsune asked. Tenton sighed. Kitsune, Orochimaru is an S-ranked missing nin. He's very dangerous. You were lucky to get away unscathed, really. The Hokage must be told, she said. Fine, you're right, Pandaheim, Kitsune sighed. Kin looked back and forth between Tenton and Kitsune. She was still getting used to her new surroundings. Thankfully Kitsune had given her a book to help her. How to be a minion of the great Kitsune, the grandmaster of pranking chaos and always willing to buy the first round in a bar. And yes, this is the actual title of the book. Hiruzen was in his office crying rivers of tears at all the paperwork that Kitsune had made for him over the pranks he did during the prelims. He still had 4 huge stacks left and he was sure they were breeding. Yo old man. Hiruzen looked to see Kitsune staring at him upside down in a classic Spider-Man pose. Ah Kitsune, what brings you here? He asked as he pulled out his pipe and lit it. Here, read this, Kitsune said as he tossed a book on the desk. Hiruzen read it and his eyes widened as he read it. Why didn't you tell me this before, Kitsune? He asked in a serious tone. Why? I handled the love bite that Emo Duck got, Kitsune said. You mean you found a way to remove the curse mark? Hiruzen asked, shocked. Not really. But I got rid of what was inside it, Kitsune said. Explain, Kitsune, Hiruzen said firmly. So Kitsune did, and Hiruzen shook his head. He had never heard of such a thing, but leave it to Kitsune to do something that couldn't even be said possible, really. Heck, he couldn't believe how Kitsune got under his old student's skin so easily. The Orochimaru he knew wasn't that easy to screw with. Maybe all those experiments messed with his more than he thought. Not even his other student Jiraiya could frustrate Orochimaru that much. Kitsune didn't put in the book since he didn't think that it was important enough to write down. Very well, I'll let this go, Kitsune. But if something like this comes up again, let me know, Hiruzen said. No problem, Kitsune said, saluting. Oh, and your, follower Kin. I'd like to talk to her, Hiruzen said. But she's mine. If you want girls, go get your own. She's mine, Kitsune said childishly. Hiruzen closed his eyes at this and took a deep breath. I'm not going to take her away from you, Kitsune, I just want to talk to her. That's all, he said gently. Fine, but finders keepers, old man. Remember that, Kitsune said, then poofed away in a plume of smoke. Ah, a shadow clone, Hiruzen muttered. Hiruzen had his talk with Kin and found out some stuff from her. What he found out was the invasion, mainly since his old student loved to monologue, it seemed, before he killed someone. Kin also gave him what she thought was the strength of her former village and who she knew was the strongest, but her info on that was limited since she was low on the totem pole and was restricted to the village. So she didn't know of any of the Snake Sonin's sources in his various bases he had around. Kitsune stood by Kin the whole time, not wanting Hiruzen to try and take what he deemed his. At the end the meeting, Kitsune and Kin left, leaving Hiruzen to plan a counter-assault against his old student. Tenton sighed as she took a deep drink of ice-cold water. She was resting after some serious training for the finals. Kitsune was sitting under the shade rocking on his heels. He was a bit winded, but happy he was helping his Pandaheim. One of the things he loved to do, really. You got this in the bag, Pandaheim, he said confidently. To become a Chunin isn't all about strength and power, Kitsune. I also have to show that I have the mental capabilities to be a Chunin. To know when to fight or retreat, and also have some leadership skill too, Tenton said. Ah, that's no fun, Pandaheim. That sounds like work, Kitsune mumbled. Tenton just shook her head. It's what I want to do, Kitsune. Now where is your follower? She asked. Oh, Kin's out recruiting. She said she might know a few that are willing to join me, Kitsune said. And you trust her, Kitsune? She used to work for Orochimaru? Tenton asked. Of course I'd trust her, Pandaheim. Besides, I placed a seal on her so I know where she is and other special surprises, Kitsune said with a grin. Tenton shook her head. I should have known Kitsune would have some plan in place, she thought. Right. Ready to go again, Pandaheim? Kitsune asked. Tenton nodded and got up. Kin sighed as she shook her head. Why the hell did I say yes to this? I mean, what was I thinking? How the hell can I convince these people? They are stronger than I am. I can't believe I got myself in this situation. This Kitsune is totally insane, but he's a hell of a lot nicer and kinder than Orochimaru. I made my bed and now I have to lie in it, she thought. Making her way, she snuck through, making sure she kept herself as concealed as possible. What helped was all the goodies in the rucksack she carried that was given to her by Kitsune. She still didn't know all that was in the sack, but found out so far that if put her hand in it and thought about what she needed, it usually appeared in her hand. So that was nice. Kin, what the fucking hell are you doing here? To Yuya, Kin said. Yeah, it's me. Who else do you know by that fucking goddamn name? So what the fucking hell do you want? To Yuya asked. Now Tayuya was a red-haired girl with probably the foulest mouth in the entire elemental nations. Her dirty mouth could probably make sailors blush. Hell, it did make sailors blush in fact. She's also won Otto's top dirty mouth 10 straight times too. I know only one Tayuya and she all the way down to her foul mouth. I swear, she's got the dirtiest mouth of all the elemental nations, Kin thought. Tayuya, you remember what we talked about some time ago? Kin asked. Yeah, so what the fuck? Tayuya asked. I found a way out, Kin said. You're shitting me. You dirty motherfucking liar, Tayuya said accusingly. No, I am not. I found a way out and I can give you and a few others out too, Kin said. What's the goddamn catch? There's got to be a fucking goddamn catch. Tayuya asked. You'll have to be his follower, Kin said. Shit, fucking shit. I knew it. I trade in motherfucking goddamn piece of shit for another motherfucking goddamn piece of shit, Tayuya spat. Not this one. He's nice. He doesn't want a lot from me, Kin said. What does he want then? Tayuya asked. He wants us to be his driving force to prank the whole world, Kin said sincerely. You got to be fucking joking? Tayuya exclaimed. Kin shook her head. Well fucking hell, I guess it's better than working for this pale-ass pedo, Tayuya muttered. So you're in? Kin asked. Fuck, why not, Tayuya said. Kin nodded and then headed off. She still had places to go and hopefully more people she could recruit. She just hoped she could get it all done in time before the finals. Kitsune grinned. You've returned, Kin, he said. I have, Kin said, bowing her head down. So was your mission successful? Kitsune asked as he sat there with his fingers steepled looking very solemn. I think it was, Kin said nodding her head. Good, now for your reward, Kitsune said. Kin looked confused. Here, a big bag of pink cotton candy, Kitsune said as he pulled out a big plastic bag full of the fluffy stuff made completely of sugar. Kin took it and opened it and ripped a chunk off and ate it and moaning in sheer pleasure. She had found her favorite food now. So good, she said feeling the sugar rush coursing through her system. My plan is all coming together, Kitsune chuckled with dark evil intent. There was a dark aura slowly enveloping him as the dark ominous music began to swell. Kitsune, are you alright? Tenton asked. She had come in to witness Kitsune dark laughter with evil dark ominous music playing and Kin eating her cotton candy in a euphoric fashion. Huh, oh fine Pandaheim, Kitsune said turning away from the dark aura he had going. Tenton just looked at Kitsune. I just wanted to have my evil moment. I never have an evil moment, Kitsune said as he took down his dark aura and stuffed it back in his rucksack as well as stuffing the dark ominous music too. Get back in there, he grumbled as he wrestled with the aura and music to stuff it back in his sack. Tenton shook her head deciding not say a thing. Are you going to watch me in the finals tomorrow? She asked. Of course Pandaheim, I'd pause my total annihilation of the known world to watch you kick total ass, then afterwards back to annihilation, Kitsune said grinning. Thanks Kitsune, Tenton said. Kitsune kissed her hand. Anything for you my dear, he said. Tenton smiled. Kin was forgotten as she slowly ate her cotton candy savoring each morsel. It was the day of the finals and the stadium was filled. Most of the crowd chatting loudly about how Sasuke Uchiha will win it all. They even placed bets on it. Kitsune seeing all the betting grinned. Time to clean out all these sheep he thought. He placed his bets across all the boards with him placing bets on the most unlikely to the downright impossible like aliens coming down and gang probing Sasuke to the mole people rising and sing Phantom of the Opera as well as other bets too. Like an invasion happening and what would happen. He also put down a lot of money too. The bookies chuckled like idiots thinking they'd make a big profit from the fox brat. In the stands the Genin teams all sat down together, Genin and Junin sensei. -1 emo boy and a ever-tardy Junin of course. IEH can't wait. Sasuke is going to win it all, Sakura squealed. Yeah, he's the best, Ino sighed. Yeah, he's so gay and emo who loves to shine poles, Kitsune said. Yeah, Ino and Sakura agreed. There was chuckles from the others at what Kitsune did. I like this brat, Anko said chuckling. Kurenai shook her head and turned to Asuma who was lighting up once again and frowned. She had become really concerned about Asuma since he was now getting high on a daily basis. He pretty much had a wreath of smoke around his head wherever he went since he lit up so much. Kitsune then got up and looked around. Such a big crowd and it's wasted on such a crappy event, He muttered to himself. I'd totally prank everyone here if it weren't for Pandaheim being in this, and I promised her that I'd behave, he added mentally. Soon the finals began and Kitsune was so utterly bored till Tenton came out. She was facing the Suna girl. This changed him as he used the shadow clone jutsu and created his own cheering section that was so loud and raucous. It looked like a soccer match in Ireland with the soccer hooligans. Tenton saw this and shook her head. It seems you have some fans? Tamari commented. More like 1 times a million, Tenton mumbled. The Chunin then called the match to begin and Tenton shifted her feet. She had watched Tamari in the prelims and knew she used wind jutsu, and that meant she couldn't use her usual tactics with her throwing arsenal since they'd be blown away. So she trained for the month to work on her other skills. Kitsune was of course so helpful to her in this endeavor. The fight began with Tenton bringing out a katana and leaping forward. She clashed with Tamari's closed fan. They clashed and fought with Tamari unable to get any distance between the two to use a wind jutsu. Damn, this is hard, Tamari thought. Meanwhile in the crowd Kitsune and his army of screaming clones were cheering on their Pandaheim. They were holding up signs and banners, some announcing their love for Tenton to proposing marriage and wanting to have Tenton's babies. The usual stuff you see going to concerts to the big boy bands really. All of the crowd had moved away from the Kitsune army since they were terrified of them. Most were Konoha citizens, still had too many memories of Kitsune's pranks. The ones who were visitors just moved away scared out of their minds. The genin teams and the Chunin looked very embarrassed at this. Well, all except Asuma, who was still stoned out of his mind. Damn, this kid is fucking nuts. I want him, Anko said, licking her lips. Kurenai just sighed as she massaged her temples. The fight kept going with Tamari having several shallow cuts and they stung like hell. She wasn't badly injured at all, but she was tiring and those cuts stung like all hell. She was surprised that this girl was still going. Tenton mentally thanked Kitsune for upping her stamina during that month of training. It was hell for sure, but it helped in the long run. Kitsune's training regimen was insane, but he augmented to be a bit softer for his Pandaheim till she told him that she needed him to really train her. So he let go of some of his breaks he put on himself. He even brought his new invention. He called it a time turner and said he could turn back a total of 3 days to get more training. Kitsune wore a white lab coat, spiffy spectacles and an Oxford jacket underneath the lab coat when he explained the whole thing to her. It was way over Tenten's head of course, since she was sure Kitsune used words that he most likely made up. Like quantum tubular quacks, radio headache, synchrobuddytastical flux, and other words that were just as long and mostly made up. In the end Tenton got the training she needed and then some. Thanks to the time turner they kept turning back 3 days, and once the ended they turned back another 3. She even saw herself on the turned days and was afraid of the paradox, but Kitsune shrugged and laughed about it like it was a bunch of malarkey. Tenton sure hoped she and Kitsune didn't destroy the time-space continuum. I can't go on any longer, Tamari panted. Then give, Tenton said. Fine, I forfeit, Tamari grumbled unhappily. Tenton grinned as she wiped the sweat from her brow. An overly loud rambunctious cheer roared from the stands and Tenton looked up and smiled. Congratulations Pandaheim, you passed the second round kicking the Sand Princess's ass, Kitsune said as he appeared on the field. The Chunin on the field did nothing to stop Kitsune since he knew better. Kitsune then picked up Tenton and carried her away. Tenton blushing the whole time. The army of clones all disappeared in overly giant puffs of smoke, making everyone cough and hack. Kitsune reappeared with Tenton sitting in his lap. The rest of the matches went on till it was time for Sasuke's. There was a roar of the crowd wondering where Sasuke Uchiha was. It appears that the Uchiha isn't here, Hiruzen said. Yeah, but what do you expect? He's probably getting his pole polished by a male escort he paid for, Kitsune said. Kitsune, what brings you here? Hiruzen asked. Wanted to get a better view, Kitsune said. I think we should wait for the Uchiha. Maybe hold his match till the end of the round? The case cage suggested. Kitsune looked at the case cage. My pedometer is going cuckoo, he thought. The fake case cage shrunk back a bit. Please let him not figure me out. I'm so close now. I can't have this brat to mess things up now, he thought. Hey pale pedo, what's up? Kitsune cried. Pale pedo, wait, that's what he calls. Hiruzen thought. So my old student, you're here, he said. Shit, It's too early for my invasion, Orochimaru thought as he cursed Kitsune's appearance. So pale pedo, you like dressing up too. I am surprised you are wearing that. I am sure you'd feel more comfortable in maybe, oh this, Kitsune said. Orochimaru was out of his cage disguise and in a vapid hot pink leotard with a bulge centered in the crotch for compensation. On the front of the leotard it read, "Flame on baby." And on the back it read, "Big pleasure must be received in the back." With a big flashing arrow pointing down where his butt crack is. His hair was coiffed in a way that you'd see on a girl rather than a guy. "What have you done?" Orochimaru shouted, now standing in his new attire. "I've made you more fabulous," Kitsune said with flair. Orochimaru was pissed now, and it didn't help that flashes of cameras were now going off. "Now what are you doing?" he growled. "You need a new picture for your bingo book entry," Kitsune said with a grin. Little did the Sannin know that his new picture was being placed in every bingo book instantly. He'd never be able to show his face in the underworld again. Kabuto watched from his spot, not knowing what to do. Everything was messed up, but he decided to start the operation now since there was no going back. Soon feathers came floating down. People everywhere began to fall asleep. Shinobi who were aware of their surroundings broke it. An explosion happened. The invasion had begun. The invasion was over and Kitsune took care of all of it. He didn't like that this stupid thing had interrupted his Pandaheim's day, so he went batshit crazy on all the attackers. "Nobody ruins my Pandaheim's day," he announced with vengeance in his voice. The sound nin were hit with balls that expanded when it hit their target and left the nin hanging in a very sticky web with a spider leering at the captive like they were its next meal or like they wanted to molest them. It was hard to tell the difference really, and no one wanted to check what there was. All they knew was when the Konoha nin cut the sound nin down they curled into a fetal position sobbing uncontrollably, muttering about bad touch. "It's a bad touch." Other sound nin got abducted by shiny silver flying saucers and little gray men. They'd be returned clutching their buttocks and crying, but that would be much later of course. Probing takes time to do right, as you all know. The Suna nin got off easy compared to the sound nin, as some were bound in nylon ropes and landed, so they were all rump up and got up paddling by an army of shadow clones, each taking turns of 50 whacks per clone. Each clone getting their turn up to smack, bat. Some other Suna nin who avoid the paddling got attacked by uncontrollable fart attacks that propelled them forward even if they didn't want to. The smell was so bad they'd gag for air, suffocating from their own flatulence. It didn't help that the gas hovered right over the Suna nin like a brown stink cloud, so they were unable to move and get any fresh air. The supposed snake summon that was supposed to appear was taken down before it could cause any damage. It was taken down by a huge inflatable doll. How this happened, you really don't want to know. Let's just say every who saw it got an education they could have done without. Many who had unfortunately witnessed the event would have nightmares for weeks to come. Not even the Yamanaka clan could help ease this at all, since it was burned into the victims' psyches. As for the snake Sannin, he fled before Kitsune could really torture him along with his elite guard. This left Kitsune pouting. He wanted to mess with the snake Sannin some more. With the interruption of the finals that made it that no one got promoted, and Suna nin that were in Konoha were under arrest and in cells awaiting a new treaty to be signed between the two villages. The sound nin were also jailed too. Well, those who weren't abducted, that is. When they did return, they'd be returned in an empty field smelling of rum, so no one would believe their tales. Of course, who in the ninja world would believe in aliens in the first place? Most of the Konoha forces had nothing to do since Kitsune took care of everything. The Konoha nin were so glad that Kitsune was on their side. Tenten was sad about this since she felt she was ready to become a Chunin. Kitsune decided to cheer her up by a prank spree, much to the dismay of everyone in the village who was Kitsune's victims. And the Hokage, who had to deal with all the paperwork afterwards. "Welcome, my followers," Kitsune said. He was standing up on a stage with a big banner behind him that was dark rust orange with a picture of a fox shaking a pair of maracas in its paws and a big huge stogie in its maw. "Who the fucking hell are you?" Tayuya asked. "Ah, my name is Kitsune, the terror of the leaf, the prankster from hell, the scourge of all who have a giant rods up their asses, and all around bat-shit crazy ninja and citizen," Kitsune said happily. "This asshole for fucking real?" Tayuya asked, looking at Kin. Kin was munching away at her bag of blue cotton candy. "He is, and he's my god," she proclaimed. You're just saying that because you're a sugar junkie, another redhead said as she pushed up her glasses. Right, now that you know who I am, who are you my followers? Kitsune asked. My name is Gurren, a light blue-haired kunoichi with red lips and dark eyes. My name is Karen, the redhead with glasses said. Tayuya. Tayuya grunted out. Great, now that is out of the way, we can begin with the initiation ceremony, Kitsune said. Wait, what makes you think we're here to join you? Karen asked. You rather stay with the big white ass? Kitsune asked. He's got a point, Gurren sighed. Fuck, I said I'd join. So let's get this fucking chicken shit over with, Tayuya said. Right, well, I guess I can tell you all the benefits you'll be getting if you join me as followers, Kitsune said. The first thing is a first-rate dental and health plan. We cover pretty much everything from a broken leg to practically every kind of major surgery you might want. Hell, even plastic surgery if you want it, as well as liposuction and breast augmentation too. You all will be wearing a nifty bodysuit just like Kin is wearing, as well as a traveling cloak and rucksack full of goodies. There were 3 pairs of eyes blinking, then turned to see what Kin was wearing. You want us to wear that? Karen asked incredulously. Why not? Kitsune asked, scratching his head. It's demeaning, Karen said loudly. So, you also have more flexibility and you look damn why in it too, Kitsune said. Karen was split on this. I'm in, Gurren sighed. Yes, Kitsune said, punching the air. Question though, Gurren said. Yes? Kitsune asked. Does your, health plan, extend to those that are family or think of as family? Gurren asked. Yeah, I guess so, Kitsune said after a bit of thought. Good, Gurren said. Fine, I'm in, Karen sighed. Right, now the initiation ceremony can now finally begin, Kitsune said. The lights dimmed and candles began to light up from out of nowhere, it seemed. Kitsune was dressed in a dark long cloak that had a thick cord of rope tied loosely around his waist and hood up. Kin was standing beside Kitsune in the same attire. Chanting was heard echoing throughout that room. Omha Bamba Lala, Omha Bamba Lala, Omha Bamba Lala, Omha Bamba Lala, Omha Bamba Lala. This confused the 3 girls and they looked at each other and then at the 2 on the stage. They were all wondering the same thing. What the fucking hell? Now step on stage and receive your garments and tattoo, Kitsune said in a solemn priestly tone. Gurren got up first, then Tayuya and finally Karen. They got on stage. Kneel Gurren, Kitsune said, still in his solemn priest tone. Gurren did, with her head bowed, showing of the back of her neck. Do you, Gurren, solemnly swear to be my ever-obedient servant in my quest to prank the entire world? Kitsune asked. I do, Gurren said. Kitsune placed his finger on the back of Gurren's neck and the fox with maracas in its paws and big huge stogie in its maw mark appeared on her. Gurren felt a ticklish sensation run through her. Arise Gurren, my new follower, Kitsune said. Gurren got up and Kin gave Gurren her new outfit. Next up was Tayuya. Kneel Tayuya, Kitsune said. Tayuya knelt down with the back of her neck exposed. Do you, Tayuya, solemnly swear to be my ever-obedient servant in my quest to prank the entire world? Kitsune asked. Yeah, I fucking do, Tayuya said. Kitsune saw the curse mark on Tayuya and frowned. He then put his finger on top of the mark. Inside the curse seal, Kitsune appeared within the seal and frowned as it looked the same as Emo Duck's before he decided to redecorate it. But this time he had different mission. Who are you? A huge white snake hissed. The white snake, Orochimaru, was coiled around a black sickly stalactite. Name's Kitsune, I am with Animal Control, Kitsune said, with his clothing automatically changing into a work uniform. Orochimaru looked puzzled at this, but knew he had to eliminate this threat. So he lunged to swallow Kitsune whole since he was just standing there. But as he was close to making the kill, Kitsune pulled out a big white thing and tossed it into Orochimaru's mouth. What is this? The white snake hissed. Tic-tac, your breath stinks. When was the last time you brushed? Kitsune asked as he waved his head back and forth in front of his face to get rid of the stench. Cool mint. I like cool mint. Wait, I'm supposed to kill this guy, not enjoy this, Orochimaru thought as he sucked on the breath mint. I already given BB to the giant fox, what should I do with this one? Kitsune pondered out loud. He was also wearing a thinking cap on his head with an energy-efficient bulb screwed in. Orochimaru lunged out again and like the first time he was stopped. But this time Kitsune held out his hand and said, "Freeze." The huge white snake was frozen in midair, only able to move its eyes. "Huh, what do you know? Watching all those Looney Tunes actually paid off," Kitsune said. He then moved out of the way of Orochimaru's strike and in his place put a huge pile of TNT. Orochimaru's eyes widened in a very comical way. "Okay, go," Kitsune said away from the blast site. Orochimaru unfroze and shot right to the big boom. He couldn't stop. His last thought before hitting was, "Mommy." A huge explosion erupted and after the smoke cleared was a charred white snake. Kitsune walked over. "You dead yet?" he asked. Orochimaru groaned. I guess not." "Well, let's see what else I got," Kitsune said as he rummaged through his rucksack. Orochimaru got up shaking off his charred skin. He hissed and lunged again at Kitsune. Kitsune was still going through his sack when he pulled out a huge frying pan. "When will I need this?" he asked himself as Orochimaru slammed right into the cast iron frying pan leaving a facial dent in it a la Looney Tunes. Kitsune frowned. "Now it's dented. I can't do a thing with this," he muttered as he tossed the frying pan away and went back to rummaging. Orochimaru after some time was able to pry his face and head out of the frying pan. He hissed angrily at Kitsune and went to attack him again. This time Kitsune pulled out an already ticking time bomb. When did this get put in and why is it already on?" he murmured, then chucked it behind him right at Orochimaru. The time bomb went right into the snake's mouth and down his gullet. A big explosion happened that made the middle of his body balloon as smoke came out of his nostrils and mouth along with the sides of his eyes. The snake looked completely dazed. Come on, I have to have something in here," Kitsune muttered as he kept rummaging through his rucksack. Orochimaru shook off his stupor and readied himself for another attack, but this time with caution. But what he didn't see was Kitsune had been tossing out items from his rucksack as he was dazed. He first realized this when his tail landed in an Acme brand bear trap that Kitsune had tossed out during his sack search. "Yow!" the giant snake cried. Kitsune ignored it as he kept looking and rummaging. Next Orochimaru got in contact with many sharp tacks. He screamed in pain at this. After that he slipped on axle grease from an open drum of Acme brand axle grease that Kitsune had tossed out during his search. Orochimaru slipped and slid all around, then slid right into a set of bowling pins that had been set up from Kitsune's tossing items out. But these bowling pins weren't normal ones, they had dynamite in them, lit dynamite. Orochimaru hit them and they exploded. Boom! I give, Orochimaru cried, not able to take any more, his white body charred. "Oh poo!" Kitsune pouted, looking up from his searching his rucksack. Orochimaru begged for his life and Kitsune just couldn't stand a whiny snake. So he used the same hoop he used on the Orochimaru snake in Sasuke and made this one into a small garter snake. "I'll call you Winnie," Kitsune said after placing his new pet in a glass tank. Outside the curse seal, the mark morphed and changed to the fox holding maracas in its paws and stogie in its maw. Tayuya didn't feel a tickling sensation since it burned a bit, but that didn't last long. "I have removed the pale pedo's mark from you. Now arise," Kitsune said. Tayuya was shocked as she rose and was in a kind of stupor as she went over to Kin, who gave her new clothes. Finally it was Karen's turn. "Kneel, Karen," Kitsune said. Karen knelt down with her head bent down, revealing the back of her neck. "Do you, Karen, solemnly swear to be my ever-obedient servant in my quest to prank the entire world?" Kitsune asked. "I do," Karen said with a slight stutter pause. Kitsune marked her as well, arise. Karen did and got her new duds from Kin. "Welcome my new followers to my cult, my new world order. Welcome to POOPONTHENFLUSHWITHOUTWIPING. Kitsune said. "What the fucking hell does that even mean?" Tayuya asked. It was supposed to mean something," Kitsune said, like this was a brand new concept. There was sweat drops by his new followers. Kin, however, didn't seem to even care about that. "So our goal is to prank the entire world?" Karen asked. "Yup," Kitsune said happily. "And how do you suggest we do that?" Gurren asked. Kitsune grinned at this as he began to lay out his grand scheme of things. Gurren, Karen and Tayuya were shocked seeing the plans. They were quite creative, inventive and actually well thought out in an insane kind of way. Kin had already seen the plans and was on board. As long as she got her cotton candy, it really didn't matter what she had to do really. She couldn't get enough of the sugary fluff. They also got the same book that Kin got when she entered Kitsune's service. It would be very helpful to them all. Things in Konoha were mostly back to normal, though that meant pranks went off everywhere and on anyone really. Two figures were running around screaming about their springtime of youth and on how youthful their flames were. Everyone gave them a very wide berth. Guy-sensei, I feel my youthful flames flaming, Lee said. Yes, Lee, feel those flames flaming, they will guide you to the great springtime of youth, Guy said. Guy-sensei, Lee, Guy-sensei, Lee. They then collided, hugging each other, but something different happened along with the typical sunset and waves crashing upon the rocks. Their clothing vanished, leaving the two completely naked, and very bad porno music played. Screams were heard throughout the crowd, who had the displeasure of seeing the sight. They then began to claw at their eyes, wanting to unsee what they had just seen. It was much horrid than it was before. Guy and Lee, not knowing of their new appearances, released their hug from each other and began to run off again, crying and screaming about the great power of the springtime of youth and how they were letting loose their flames of flaming youthfulness brilliantly. They were caught by Anbu hours later and dragged them away so they can be dressed and fined for indecent exposure multiple times, as well as disturbing the peace too, along with other fines also. Hana sighed as she was now on a date with Kitsune. She was so perplexed how this all happened. She had just finished her shift at the clinic when her mom grabbed her and ordered her to shower and change into something nice. Hana did, and then was dragged by her mother to a nice restaurant where Kitsune was waiting, dressed in a dress shirt and pants and looking quite sane. Which was a very drastic change from his usual demeanor. So, Kitsune, how are you? She asked, not really knowing what to say. Fine, I just enhanced the Green Bean Duo's bromance. It's now a total bro job, Kitsune said. Green Bean Duo, bromance, what are you talking about? Hana asked. She didn't even want to know what a bro job was at all. Those two shouting about flames and youth. Panda Heim's team, Kitsune said. Oh, that, Hana said. She remembered hearing about that and cringe. She had heard that those who had witnessed the sight all tried to gouge their eyes out and were in the hospital to heal those self-inflicted injuries. That and Guy and Lee didn't even notice their appearances and kept running around till they were taken down and dragged away to be dressed and had to pay a lot of fines for the crimes they had done. Yeah, it took me a while to think of something good for them, Kitsune said. Yeah, good, Hana said. My dog Maiden, I shall be honest with my feelings to you, Kitsune said, being serious. Hana blinked. She had never seen Kitsune like this. Hana, Naruto has always liked you. You were always so kind to him when he was younger, and that made him develop a crush on you. Now I can feel the Naruto part of me mixing in with my side. So soon Naruto and me will become one, and soon too, Kitsune said. Hana was shocked hearing this. Naruto had a crush on her. She remembered the times she had seen Naruto with Kiba and was always nice to Naruto. She didn't know why all the adults were mean to Naruto, since he wasn't evil or whatever. You see, me and Naruto are two separate personalities, but they are now merging with me being the dominant. Only you know this. I haven't told Pandaheim yet or the old man, Kitsune said. So what you're saying is you and Naruto are combining into one with you being in control? Hana asked. Kitsune nodded. And that Naruto has always had a crush on me, but I thought he liked Sakura, Hana said. That pink-haired androgynous. He liked her, but not as much as he liked you. He just went after her since she was closer to his age and didn't fear the rejection he got from her as much as if you rejected him, Kitsune said. Hana sat back since this was a heck of a lot to take in really. Naruto having a crush on her. Then the fact that Kitsune and Naruto personalities were merging into one with Kitsune's personality being the dominant one. It was a lot to take in really. Now I know this is a lot to take in and you don't have to give me an answer tonight, but just think about it. Oh, and here's this too, Kitsune said as he handed Hana a pamphlet. Hana took it and read the title. So you want to be with an unhinged, mentally unstable individual? She looked at Kitsune wondering if this was a joke. Just read it on your own time, Kitsune said. Hana just nodded and put the pamphlet away for the time being. They then ate and talked. What do you mean you and Naruto are merging? Tenten asked, confused and shocked. Just like I am saying. I can feel it here, Kitsune said, tapping the side of his head. Tenten and Kitsune were in Hiruzen's office when Kitsune told them the news. I see, do you know how much of Naruto will be present? Hiruzen asked. Not really, old man, there'll be glimmers and crap, but it'll be mainly me, just you'll see peaks of Naruto in me now, Kitsune said. I see, this changes things, Hiruzen said. Probably, Kitsune said with a shrug. Tenton shook her head as she sat down. This was something so new to her and she wasn't sure what to think really. Panda, you are and will always be #1 in my heart, but Naruto likes Hana and I can't erase that at all, Kitsune said. It's not that, Kitsune, just a lot to take in, Tenton said with a deep sigh. Kitsune nodded. Hiruzen sat back and thought. Well, Naruto has always been the #1 unpredictable ninja and this again proves it. That's all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.